How many of the other PNZ?
It is 5 total. Hernandez, I would Martinez Hernandez. Except for I've seen one here. That's the only one. He's an outstanding professor. And he only teaches 3,000, 4,000 levels and above. And we need everyone.
2, 3.
Yeah.
Those are the shirts.
His Caribbean history class is very good. Makes a lot of people uncomfortable because he brings up those subjects.
Probably a bit of a difference.
But you can't study the history of the Caribbean without, you've got to bring that. And so, but as he put it.
Well, good evening, everybody. I would remind you to, John, I would remind you to put your phones on silent and vibrate as we bring this regularly scheduled council meeting for April the 13th to order at 6:01. If you'd stand for the invocation and remain standing for the pledge, please.
Most loving and gracious Father God, we thank you. We thank you for another day in the land of the living. And we just ask that, Lord, that you give us the wisdom to guide and lead our town in the right way. We ask that you be in the middle of it all and that there is decency and an order in all that we do. In his name we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, John, when you're ready.
Mayor Pro Tem Everline,
Here.
Councilor Arnold,
Present.
Councilor Lanneman,
Present.
Councilor Miles,
Here.
Mayor Wells,
Here.
we have a quorum.
Thank you. Any changes to the agenda? We're not going to have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the
Second.
All
agenda.
in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Public question and comment. Any person wishing to address the mayor and council on an item that's not on tonight's agenda is asked to come to the podium to give their name and address. 3 minutes has been allocated to each speaker.
Eric Gunnish, 448 Avilia Place. Beautiful Howey-in-the-Hills. At the planning and zoning meeting where all of the candidates were approved, or interviewed for approved, I put in my application. And now then after I put in my application, John processed it, the whole 9 yards. I was interviewed by the planning and zoning board, answered the questions, and even got a recommendation by one member of town council at that meeting. After that member of town council spoke, another member of town council walked past and stated, "You forced my hand." And I don't understand exactly what that member of town council has against me personally. However, I would like to state on the record that the town charter is preempted by the state's constitution. The second that my application is processed, my civil rights are 100% completely restored. There is no hearing necessary or anything of the sort. And that the Florida Constitution states, once I have that piece of paper. I've already submitted my application. It's guaranteed to be approved whenever they process it. It takes time for them to process it. But once it is processed, it is an automatic approval without hearing, and my civil rights are fully, completely restored. And that allows me to hold any office.
What piece of paper are you referring to?
Restoration of my civil rights,
Why would you need them?
because I have a felony
As a
conviction.
felony conviction.
Okay, that.
And I wanted to be on planning and zoning. I mean, remember the last time you even.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Where's the paper?
They haven't sent it to me yet. They haven't processed my application. There's still,
So
there's
the
a back,
paper is not fully.
it's not there yet, but once I just wanted to make that very clear, I've submitted my application, my voting rights are restored. I've submitted my complete application. And once they process it, I will have that piece of paper.
But that's the will have, so do you have it in hand now?
I do not, because they have not processed my application.
Heather, what does that look like?
So there's a difference for voting rights if you are a convicted felon
I know.
versus being able to be on a town board or commission. In order to be on a town board or commission, you have to have what's required under the Constitution is the governor's has to go ahead through the executive clemency process.
Mhm.
So you have to have that.
And I've submitted my application, the whole 9 yards, and per the recent changes to Florida law, as soon as they process my application, it's automatically approved without a hearing. And that's all I'm waiting for.
Okay, as long as you are able to show the council or the town clerk that you've received that pardon, I guess, from the governor, that's what's necessary here. Not just being able to vote. It's two different.
And I completely understand that, but the way it was referenced at the planning and zoning meeting was that town charter what I'm saying is that the Florida Constitution preempts the town charter.
The town charter and the Constitution are both the same with respect to you cannot hold office if you're a
Right.
convicted felon. However, once you have the clemency process, then you can hold office. But there's no, the
Yeah,
Constitution and the charter are the same.
The charter says a little bit differently. It says you're banned for life, but the Constitution of Florida says that once my application is processed,
But
I'm good to go.
I don't think, Heather, that our charter makes reference to not being able to hold office as a planning or zoning board member. I think it's only for town council.
Yeah, I think, let me
I
just.
think it's across the board, sir, Mayor.
Across the board.
It's across the board.
it's across the
For
board.
any board.
Seeking election to office or appointment to any board, commission, committee, or agency in the town.
Now, Heather, I have just a question, if
Yes,
I
sir.
may. Is it appropriate to have someone in this situation listed as a candidate? Because something came up at that meeting, and if I were that person, I would have been thoroughly embarrassed that my private information is now public.
But it's not private, it's a
Not
public
private,
record,
public
Well, I understand
It's a
that,
public record,
but you would have to go look for it.
but it's still a public record.
Yeah, I just don't think that should happen. To me, if they
But-
can hold office,
But think.
why
about it.
put them on the list of candidates?
Oh, yeah,
That's all I'm saying.
dude,
Yeah.
And I agree.
I see what you're saying.
Because I assumed that everything was
It should
okay
have
when
been,
I.
it should have not been, he should
Right.
not have been included in the list of candidates.
That's my feeling.
I get what you're saying. Heather, I'm
So
sorry.
my suggestion would be if the
Going
town.
forward,
Exactly. If the town receives an application from someone that's a convicted felon, the town can review, I mean, this is a policy decision of the town. The town can review whether the civil rights have been restored for that person through the governor's executive clemency process. If they have not, it does not need to go any further because the person is unable to serve.
Unqualified to
Exactly.
be able, I'm
Correct.
sorry, not to.
No, I completely understand, but.
It should stop and then, you
It
know,
can,
Care of.
correct. It's completely up to that's the town policy. Though there's no requirement for someone who is unable or unqualified to serve to go further.
I just figured they had processed my application by now because it's been over a year.
Yeah, understood.
And they just haven't done it yet.
Governor, from the governor that says they've been restored? Do you have that piece of paper?
Counselor Arnold,
Do
what
you
I'm
have
trying,
that piece of paper or not? Yes or no? It's a very.
I
simple
don't
question.
have, I have not received a piece of paper. I figured.
You don't have the piece of paper. You don't know what the governor is gonna say or do, or the staff's gonna recommend. I would suggest wait until you have the piece of paper in your hand before you start telling everybody, oh, it's automatic.
And
It is.
just as a procedural question or comment here, I will say it doesn't put the clerk in an ideal position for him to have to check for a felony, check for residency, et cetera, et cetera. Typically, the rule of thumb is it's presumed qualified until challenged. And then
with the exception, and in this case, this same thing had come up a year ago. Or less than, a little more than a year.
Yeah, it was a
ago.
little over a year ago when I wanted to be on Parks and Rec.
Maybe the town adds just a checkbox to the application.
I did.
Okay, I didn't see that on I was looking at the applications that were in there. I didn't. see.
The online application has it.
Okay.
The
And that
direct
doesn't-
application.
Then it doesn't put the town clerk in an awkward position too.
Nor the
because-
town council for that.
Exactly,
matter.
and I feel bad for, I
No,
also,
I completely understand that. And,
Written one, because I noticed we had two different.
Counselor Arnold, I wasn't, I'm not being,
Is it on?
argumentative or challenging to you. I don't understand.
Not eligible.
I understand that, but I don't, well, what I don't understand is what do you have against me?
It's nothing. You're not eligible. You don't have a piece of paper from the governor saying full rights have been restored. You said, I don't know what the governor is going to say or do. Maybe he lost it. I don't know. But here's my point. You're not eligible. You're just not eligible.
I completely understand that aspect of it. I do. But the way you've framed it, it's like you have something against me.
I probably wouldn't have said anything, except that we had Tim said he supported your nomination. And at that point, I felt it was necessary to point out to the P and Z board members that there's a person who wants to be on P and Z who is not eligible.
And as a point of clarification, because there was a question whether this was in code or not, so it says in code, any person convicted of a felony shall be ineligible for employment by the town and disqualified from seeking election to an office or appointment to any board, commission, committee, or agency.
I don't think anybody
in the
has
town.
a problem.
Yeah, but there was questions
It's
about,
just-
Yeah.
say,
But it doesn't say until civil rights are restored. That's
Yeah.
the problem.
There,
I
so you're not eligible. Sorry.
just,
I just figured they had processed my application by that time,
All right.
by now, and that's all.
can I just call a halt to this?
Yeah, we're good.
Thank you very much. We've now spent 10 minutes on this. I just have one issue across the board really with regards to any board and as far as council members' participation in that board. Whilst it's probably okay, it's probably nothing against the rules or even the charter, but the short and long of it is that I don't think that council members should be opining, recommending, or participating verbally at a planning and zoning board meeting. That's the whole purpose that we have a planning and zoning board, that there is separation between that and the council, because the council make the final decision. And I think this has come up before on different occasions with planning and zoning, etc., where council members are giving their opinion, which in some ways may sway that of the planning and zoning board. I don't know, but I think we've always accepted that the whole purpose of having a board is so that it is separate, so they can, without any kind of cajoling or otherwise, make their deliberations and their decisions, and that, because it's only a recommendation, and that recommendation then comes to the council and makes the final decision.
Okay, if you're gonna have that rule, let's say you make that a rule, then no references should be anybody on town council, as far as I'm concerned, should not be on staff. And yet that's not the case. What's the difference if it's done in a public meeting or done in an application? Many times I have seen that. So if you're gonna do the one, you gotta go the whole.
So just explain that again, Tim. I didn't.
So when people submit their application,
Right.
many times there are references, they'll list references from people that are town manager, mayor, town council, other committee members. So if you're
Right.
going to do that, eliminate all of it.
So just to be clear, I don't know of any town staff that's ever, I mean, unless we're talking like police pension and it's a police officer, but
You go back and look.
Well, town staff is a slightly different thing, simply because town staff don't ultimately make the voting decision on anything that's going to come.
Well, no,
out of
you
the
didn't say
council.
anything about ultimate decision. You said swaying a potential
Right.
vote. I would think if a town manager is listed or the mayor is listed or anybody else,
You're
I
talking
think that
about-
could sway.
Are you talking about as a reference?
Yes.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
But sometimes we don't know who the person may list as a reference
Well, no,
on their
they-
application.
well,
Is that
they
what you're
print-
referring to?
Yeah, they print it out.
I mean, honestly, I don't remember anyone ever asking
No
to
one.
use this as a reference.
A
But they may,
Go back.
okay, they may have, but they
Go
didn't
back.
ask me ahead of time.
Maybe the application form should just state on there that, references cannot be elected officials. I don't know.
That'd be fine. Yeah.
Maybe that would be a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a good legal idea.
I don't have.
Hey, Heather.
Because you're right. If
Right.
somebody does
Isn't that a great
put
legal?
down two council members and the mayor, then, whoever's looking at that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know any of the people personally. I don't think I was named on any of those applications.
Oh, new app.
Yeah, I know. But I did notice that we have some people who had obviously filled out the applications online. We have some people who have filled out the old paperwork. I think there should be at least a uniform document that people are filling out, particularly if one has got a checkbox to say that you're not a felon, and I don't believe the other one has, or maybe it does. I don't know, but it definitely seemed there's a lot of issues on this, and maybe we need to make this a not tonight, but a separate discussion
Definitely.
if we need to make any amendments to this.
Can we move on?
Yes.
Heather,
But we do have more.
All right.
Can
Couple-
Heather answer the question that I asked in regard to how to, just for this point of reference of the disclaimer that need to be on there, that there should be no public officials, elected officials as references? I think that would damp down a lot of the issues.
That's
So,
a policy decision of the council if you'd like to do that.
Let's bring that back at another time.
No recommendations
Sure.
at the meetings themselves.
Okay, anybody else for public comment?
We do have someone online as well.
Okay,
Tina St. Clair.
Good evening, members of the town council. I attended last Thursday's Development Review Committee where it was brought up in regards to making some quote unquote minor changes to the historic designation on the mansion. And I wanted to find out what the next steps are to that.
So the next steps would be that the town planner is going to talk with the town attorney and determine what would be necessary for it to be brought to council, whether that would be an ordinance that requires noticing. So that would be the next step is the planner will talk to the attorney and and clarify that and bring it to.
Could you repeat what she said? Because I don't know what you're talking about.
Sorry, yes, so.
Couldn't hear her
So,
clearly.
Mrs. St. Clair was talking about, the DRC meeting that just happened.
I
And
understand
talking
that
about
part.
updating the historic resource management plan for the Howey Mansion to, among other things, include, the other parcel that they own. So it's a legal / planning question as to what would need to be done to update that historic resource management plan.
Well, and regulate parking.
Okay, did that answer Miss Sinclair's question? No?
I'm sorry, I wasn't able to unmute myself. Yes, that did. And just so you know, I'm a saint, not a sinner. Saint Clair.
Okay. Any other public comment? If there's not, then I'll close public comment, move
Oh,
on.
You got one more.
Andy Everline, 1012 North Lakeshore Boulevard. I thought the next step was a meeting between you and the owner of the mansion, Sean. I thought that's what was said at the DRC meeting.
So there will be conversations between myself and Brad, but there have been years of conversations and years of emails. So I know he wanted to expand further on definitions of events versus special events. But on the staff side, we also need to clarify what the processing is. If there's an ordinance that needs to be drafted, that's going to take a bit of time. If there's a noticing requirement, that's a built-in period of time.
Isn't that private property?
Is
The
it
mansion.
not private property? Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Zoning regulates everything in town. Zoning requirements. Yeah.
All right, now I'll close public comment, move on to the consent agenda.
Like to pull item number 1.
Yes, I would also like to pull item number 1.
Okay, anybody else for number 2?
Motion to approve item number 2.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, David, number 1.
Yes, sir. When you go to paragraph 9 in this document, the third subparagraph within it is missing the name of the person that is seconding a motion that I made. That's the first issue.
Which
It is mentioned,
that, David?
let me go here and look at it. It's paragraph 9, under new business,
Which page?
Page
which is
6.
on page
Three.
3.
or 6 of the page.
I made a motion and it was seconded, but the name of the person that seconded
I see Mayor Pro
it's
Tem.
found just above the comment by Paulette Shipley of 544 Avila Place. The paragraph above that, Councilor Miles subsequently moved to establish a project in the capital improvement plan to address Lake Harris surface water for irrigation purposes and to budget for the feasibility study in the FY27 budget. The motion was seconded, and the mayor invited public comment on the item. I think the name of the person that did the second needs to be put in there. Later on, I made the motion again or restated it, and Councilor Mayor Pro Tem Everline seconded it. I don't know if he was the one that seconded it the first time or not, but I think whoever it was, their name should be placed there. That's the first of a couple issues that I have on those minutes. The second thing is there, our town clerk does a very good job of being very nice to us. And he's nice to all of us and sometimes leaves out when we have a peak of anger. And so I understand that. However, there are a couple items that were part of the discussion that were very germane to what we ultimately decided to do that are left out of the minute. And quite frankly, both of them were involved criticism of the town manager for not keeping us informed by number one, not for a period of 2 years, not telling us the outcome of the CUP approval by the St. John's River Water Management District, which we had spent $10,000 hiring an attorney to advocate our position of having at least a 10-year period, as had been common in the past for that cup. And the fact that I just found out about it, and I'm one of the ones that was critical, is I found out at that meeting, which was March 9 of 2026. And evidently it was approved in May of 2024. So that 2-day delay caused me some degree, or 2-year delay caused me some degree of irritation. And I think that there should at least be a sentence in the minutes indicating that members of the council had expressed that opinion. The second thing is that I just found out at that meeting on March 9th, which was required when the cup was approved in May of 2024, once again, almost 2 years before, that the cup approval actually required the study that was the discussion point in this item number 9 to be done. In other words, we were directed by the Water Management District that before we came in for our next renewal 5 years hence, which would be in 2029, I gather, that we had to complete a study. And of course, the entire agenda item that was before us was consideration of hiring some folks to do the study that was directed by the Water Management District. Leaving out those two salient points in this discussion, I think needs to be corrected. That's my concerns.
Okay, my concern with the minutes is on page 7, number 3, consideration and approval for the building services clerk. It states in there that I questioned what the $44,000, if that was an annualized rate, because I think 22,000 had been what was requested in the budget amendment. And Sean stated that the former building services clerk had been making $17.50 an hour and that he was raising it to $20 an hour. Well, as our mayor pointed out to Sean at that time, $20 an hour does not work out to $44,000 a year. It actually works out to $41,600 a year. And the mayor correctly pointed out that that would be 44,000 would be a wage of $21.50. So I think that that not only needs to be included in the minutes, I think it also should be included that at $20 an hour, the building services clerk would be paid $41,600.
So just to clarify, it was $20 an hour and that would have been for 14 pay periods at the time rather than exactly half of a year, which would be 13 out of 26 pay periods. So if you do 14 pay periods, 28 weeks, 40 hours a week, $20 an hour, that would take you to 22,400, which I think is the exact number.
Okay, well, then the annualized rate would not be 44,000.
The annualized rate would be 41,600.
That's that. So that's what I'm stating. So if we put that in there, then that would be correct.
So again, just to clarify, the correct answer is that it is the $20 an hour, which was stated, which was recommended, and that the budgeted amount, which was, and Oscar can correct me if I'm wrong, 22,400 was based on a 14 pay period.
Yes, there's 14 pay periods in the second half of the year.
So we can hear you.
There's 14 pay periods in the second half of the year from April to September.
Counselor Everline, can I ask what correction you're asking them to make?
I just want to make sure that it's $20 an hour and not an annualized rate of $44,000.
Correction do you want in the
I wanted
minutes
to say an annualized rate of 41,600.
in place of 44,000?
I agree.
I agree.
Okay, that's that covered. Let's go. Is there anything else, Tim?
No, that was it.
So let's just come back to David's point. Which is where he has exercised an opinion about the town manager or whatever has gone on, that has not made it into the minutes. Am I understanding you correctly, David?
The fact,
Without
not
going
only
over it
myself,
again,
but other members of the council commented on the fact that they were not being kept informed about those two events, that the event that precipitated this agenda item was almost 2 years old. It had occurred in May, I believe, of 2024, and we were not informed about it until the agenda item appeared in March of 2026. And then the issue that pursued from that, which I think you made, was whether or not we could afford to do it this year or next year. And the outcome is correct. It's just there's no mention of a couple very salient items. Now, I think there should be a mention of the fact that we were 21 months delayed in receiving information on the approval of our prior cup.
Well, and I will say that was certainly stated at the meeting, and if the minutes are changed to reflect that, I will point out that we've consistently been talking about a 5-year cup since that time at pretty much, it feels, every other meeting. I will also say the land development code was revised to accommodate the changes that were requested from St. John's as part of that cup, including irrigation changes to every developer's agreement that was signed in the last, or updated in the last 21 months. And even Morgan Cates joining Slurtac, part of the argument for him joining Slurtac was to talk about solutions to find extensions to our cup and work with other entities to work on joint solutions for surface water analysis, as well as the other requirements. I mean, there's been ongoing conversations about these requirements, but that doesn't leave out that that's what your comment was at that meeting.
Those ongoing conversations were not held in my presence.
And I agree with David in that many times communications happen that are not brought forth to town council.
Any comments from Renee or John?
I've known about the 5-year cup. Our time I've been on council. And I learned about it actually before they, with talking with JJ over some irrigation. So I've known about it since not only being on town council, but a little bit before that when I talked with JJ concerning irrigation guidelines, protocols, et cetera. So it wasn't a surprise to me. The study was a surprise, but the fact that it's a 5-year cup, no, because other towns have also since then been found their cup reduced to 5-year period as well. Learned that during one of the IMOs, I believe. So there you are.
Renee?
I don't have any comment to this. This has been an ongoing conversation for some time, and it seems as though the cups are reduced over the time period. I don't have any further comment to it. I understand it and I understand what's going on.
Okay, so let's just take a simple vote whether we amend the minutes with regards.
Can I just say one thing?
Sure you
If,
can.
if you want the minutes amended, if you're not gonna give me the specific phrase that you want in that, then I recommend you just table these. And I will
Yes,
try to do whatever you've asked me to do, as it relates to whether or not it was said in the last meeting, but.
I make a motion that we table this item until the next council meeting to give the town clerk an opportunity to make both Mayor Pro Tem Everline and whatever correction that the council agrees on concerning the discussion related to the cup. I will say that, yes, I've been aware of the cup discussions for a long time, but there was a 2-year lapse where I don't remember hearing anything about it. I heard about it quite a bit prior to May of 2024. And then the next time I heard about it was on March 9, 2026. I actually heard about it a day or two before because I read my agenda, but at that time, and that's 21 months later.
Let me just add, to me, the important part of that wasn't the 5 or 10-year cup. It was that we're being required to do $180,000 surface water study that we had no idea was being required up until that meeting.
It was 158,000, not
58,000. Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion to table the item. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those against say nay.
Nay.
Okay, we've now spent 40 minutes and we've not got past the consent agenda, so perhaps we can step it up a little bit, please. So from here, we're going into new business consideration and approval of planning and zoning board member selection. Town manager?
Yes. So we did have an opening on planning and zoning. A member's term was up. That member did not choose to renew. That was Fran Wagler. We did have 5 applicants, and as it's laid out in the code, those 5 applicants go to the planning and zoning board to get a recommendation, and then that recommendation is brought to town council. So the planning and zoning board, one person was absent, but after reviewing the submissions, they have a recommendation for Bruce Formals with a vote of 5-1. And again, staff does not make a recommendation on town board appointments, but we do have that P and Z recommendation. I do see Mr. Formals here in the audience. I'm not sure if we have any of the other, Mr. Gunnish is here as well. I don't know if we have any of the other applicants here in the audience. I'm not familiar with them individually. Do you have any other applicants? No. So I guess 2 of them are here in person out of the 5 applicants.
I make a motion that we go with the planning and zoning's recommendation.
Do I have a second?
Second,
We need a roll call for this, John, or just a straight up?
I could public comment.
he was the only one that
That's another way of going.
has.
Any public comment on this particular item? Then I'll close public comment. We have a motion, a second. I'll ask the question again. Do you want a roll call vote or a straight up vote?
Roll call vote.
No, I'm not asking around. I'm asking. for the
Ah. Yeah, please, thank you.
Just
Sorry.
straight voice vote. Is that what you're saying? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. I believe that is a unanimous vote. Mr. Formalis, you are tag, you're it. We now move on to item 4, consideration approval of proclamation 2026-002. I would ask the town manager to read the proclamation, please.
Proclamation 2026-002, Town of Howey-in-the-Hills, Florida, Lake County. Whereas the National Day of Prayer is a time-honored observance that calls upon citizens of the United States to turn to God in prayer and meditation. And whereas the annual National Day of Prayer was established by federal law in 1952, when the United States Congress passed a joint resolution signed by President Harry S. Truman. And whereas the law was amended in 1988 and signed by President Ronald Reagan, designating the first Thursday in May as the official National Day of Prayer. And whereas this day provides an opportunity for people of all faiths to come together in unity, seeking guidance, wisdom, and strength for our nation. And whereas the town of Howey-in-the-Hills recognizes the importance of faith, community, and civic unity in fostering a strong and resilient society. And whereas on May 7th, 2026, residents and visitors are invited to gather at Griffin Park Pavilion at 12 p.m. for a community observance filled with prayer for our nation, its government leaders, churches, and families. And whereas such gatherings serve to strengthen the bonds of our community and reaffirm shared values of compassion, service, and hope. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the mayor and town council of the town of Howey-in-the-Hills, Florida, that May 7th, 2026 is hereby recognized as National Day of Prayer in the town of Howey-in-the-Hills.
Motion to approve.
Second,
Okay, can I just open this now for public comment? There's no public comment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimously. We come to the proclamation 2026-003 National Police Week. Could you pass it to Mayor Pro Tem Everline to read, please?
Proclamation 2026-003. Whereas there are more than 800,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Howey-in-the-Hills Police Department, who work diligently to safeguard the lives and property of our residents. And whereas since the first recorded line of duty death in 1786, more than 24,500 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice while protecting their communities. And whereas the names of these fallen heroes are permanently engraved in the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C., serving as a solemn reminder of their courage and dedication. And whereas National Police Week provides us an opportunity to honor the service and sacrifice of those law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty, and to recognize the commitment of those who continue to serve with integrity and professionalism. And whereas as the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund will hold its annual candlelight vigil on May 13th, 2026 to honor fallen officers and support their families. And whereas National Police Week will be observed from May 11th through May 16th, 2026, and May 15th is designated as Peace Officers Memorial Day, on which flags should be flown at half-staff in remembrance of fallen officers. And whereas the Town Council of Howey-in-the-Hills wishes to publicly recognize and commend the dedicated service, bravery, and sacrifice of all law enforcement officers who serve our community and our nation. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the mayor and town council of the town of Howey-in-the-Hills, Florida, that May 11th through May 16th, 2026 is hereby designated as National Police Week in the town of Howey-in-the-Hills. And the town council does hereby call upon all its residents to observe this week with appropriate ceremonies and activities, and to honor those law enforcement officers who have made the ultimate sacrifice, as well as those who continue to serve with courage, professionalism, and dedication. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand, and that's the mayor will state that at the end, who will have to sign this.
I have a motion to,
Motion to approve.
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those against, say nay. We'll move on to the third proclamation, which I will read. I have a little knowledge about clerking. And before I read it, I would just like to emphasize, I know a lot of clerks, and this town is very blessed and should be grateful for the town clerk that we have. Town clerks typically do not do all of the things that John does. There are many things that fall to other departments within inside of the bigger cities that John undertakes. Proclamation 2026-004 Municipal Clerks Week, May 3 to May 9, 2026, Town of Howey-in-the-Hills, Florida, Lake County. Whereas the office of the municipal clerk is a time-honored and vital part of local government and exists throughout the world. And whereas the office of municipal clerk is one of the oldest among public servants, and whereas the municipal clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the council, and agencies of government at other levels, and whereas municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all, and whereas the municipal clerk serves as an information center on the functions of local government and community, and whereas municipal clerks continuously strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the municipal clerk through participation in educational programs, seminars, workshops, and annual meetings of their state, county, and international professional organizations. Whereas the town of Howey-in-the-Hills recognizes the importance of the municipal clerk in supporting transparent, efficient, and responsive local government, and in preserving the public record for the benefit of the community. And whereas it is most appropriate that the town recognize the accomplishments and dedicated services of its municipal clerk, John Brock. Now, therefore, I, Graham Wells, CMC, Mayor of the town of Howey-in-the-Hills, on behalf of the town council, do hereby proclaim the week of May 3 through May 9, 2026 as Municipal Clerks Week in the town of Howey-in-the-Hills, and to extend appreciation to John Brock, town clerk, and to all municipal clerks for the vital services they perform and for their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the town of Howey-in-the-Hills, Florida, to be affixed this 13th day of April, 2026.
Make a motion to approve.
Second motion.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Can I get a round of applause for our
Yeah.
town clerk? You owe me lunch.
Mr. Brock, if you could please add that there was a round of applause at the end of that into the minutes, that'd be great.
Yeah, I think I just gave him that agenda, but. We'll move on to item 7, consideration and approval of resolution 2026-010. Police Department IT budget amendment.
Yes, so this is a follow-up on the previous meeting when we talked about the IT solution. Mr. Ojeda, would you like to talk about this a little bit?
So, in the minutes, on the previous meeting, the amendment was approved for $21,000.
Could you speak up a little bit?
There's actually an additional $2,568 that needed to be budgeted for software. So that is the only change from what was approved.
Can you also read the title of the resolution, please, Oscar?
Resolution 2026-010, Police Department IT Budget Amendment.
Do you have the title?
I can read.
Okay.
A resolution of the town of Howey-in-the-Hills, Lake County, Florida, authorizing the budget amendment, amending the general fund for the budget year 2025-2026.
Any council discussion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any public comment? I'll close public comment. Can we have a roll call vote, please, John?
Counselor Miles,
Yes.
Counselor Lanneman,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Everline,
Yes.
Counselor Arnold,
Yes.
Mayor Wells,
Yes.
unanimous.
Motion passes unanimously. Move on to item 8 of new business, consideration approval of school resource officer SRO contract for financial year 2027.
Yeah, so it is that time of year when this comes up. Just a reminder, the school board is on a different fiscal year than we are. Their fiscal year starts July 1. So it is appropriate for them to try to figure out their budgeting and planning for their upcoming fiscal year, school year. Chief Giddens.
Yeah, the staff report basically gives it to you in a nutshell. We reviewed it, looked at the financial constraints that it puts on the town. And contrary to previous information, it's not a revenue stream. We were actually looking at being out
Chief, could you speak a little louder, please?
We're looking at being out 104,000 and change over what the school board pays us every year for this coming year. Oscar has the numbers. If you have any questions about the numbers.
Okay, I'll open it up for.
Yeah,
council
I have
discussion.
some questions. In the report, Chief Mike, it states that the school board is considering reducing the number of needed SROs from 3 to 2. Was that the school board or was that us requesting that? Who requested?
That was a school board looking to reduce their budget.
Why would, if they have 3 schools, why would they want to reduce to two SROs?
Cause they don't
They
have
have
any
a-
money.
Well, they have a new law that came up, the Stoneman Douglas, that a co-located school no longer requires 2 guns to be on campus. They would replace an officer with a guardian, is what we were told during our planning.
So what's a guardian exactly?
They're privately hired. They're not sworn, but they do carry guns. They're guardians. They're usually retired law enforcement that are hired by the school board or the state to provide school security.
So it's Lake Hills School where we've got two officers there saying that they only need one or one plus a guardian.
That's correct. I would not advocate for just one officer to be there.
Okay.
Where are they now exactly, Chief Mike? We had three this past year.
Yes, we have two at Lake Hills, and then Lake Hills Academy, and one at Lake Success.
Oh, okay. So when you say Lake Hills, you're including the academy?
Yes,
Up at
correct.
the top?
That's considered a co-located school.
Okay. Now, this Guardian, can they get those a lot cheaper?
They are a little cheaper, yes.
And they are, they're approved by the state?
Correct.
Why wouldn't they just get Guardians anyway?
Well, Guardians don't have arrest powers for one.
Do any of these kids get arrested?
Yes.
They do?
Quite often.
Yeah.
They're not certified law enforcement
Right, no,
officers.
I understand that. The other couple other questions I had was, why did they suggest reducing their reimbursement from 83.33 to 64.4?
Well, Oscar, maybe I'll speak a little better on this. They changed the way they're billing. They now want us to bill them monthly. And it's hour by hour. We're not allowed to include a lot of the price of gas, training, stuff like that.
Well, we never did that, did we?
Yes.
We did?
We did.
I thought they just paid 100% of the time that they worked there.
No, the number-
minus the others.
The numbers we provide them a simple sheet. The numbers we provide them include some of the collateral expenses.
Well, Oscar,
Can I just, the old way of invoicing, which is what they're going away from, is they would take the total amounts for 12 months of, the cost of the thing and then make it, they're paying for 10 months.
right.
Then we would give them 4 quarterly invoices for the 10-month total.
Okay.
However, now, which would have included any time, like in that 10 months, it would have, there are more weeks than 10 months. So for instance, the whole month of December where they have a week and a half of school, the rest of that, the town's picking up. So, it doesn't actually work out to be 10 months anymore. And then for the days where there's holidays, where we're paying the officers holiday pay, they're not picking that up anymore.
So in December, they're gonna pay a week and a half. Can we use those officers? If they're not working at the school?
I mean, they could be taking vacation or using sick leave. And there's 3 of them at any given time, but to your point, it is a change from 10/12, which is 83 to 180 school days and nothing else, which is 64.4. So that's almost a 25% reduction in reimbursement, no matter what the reimbursement's calculated on.
Now, go ahead, David. I have some more questions, but go ahead.
Yeah. You've asked a couple of the questions that I had. Chief, where did you get the spreadsheet that was attached to this item?
Which one? I believe they were prepared by the,
Spreadsheet
finance
that broke
director.
out the town's,
I created that.
estimate. You
from
got it
finance.
from the finance director, so it came from our staff
Correct.
internally. It didn't come from the school
No.
board. Okay. Where is a copy of the agreement that we're asked to approve here? It doesn't, at least I didn't get a copy of it attached to my agenda.
So we were told that the agreement would be the same wording as last year, and if you remember last year, they don't put a dollar amount in there anymore. It says we will reimburse exact costs. They switched away from that. We, however, not realizing we were invoicing with the old system, billing even quarters, same amounts. But when we sat down a couple weeks ago, they were surprised to see that we were invoicing under the old system. They didn't want to talk about an annual dollar amount agreement. They wanted us to be billing them just for the days and the hours exactly, the 180 hours.
And that's the reason why their reimbursement goes from 10/12
To
to essentially 8/12.
correct. I'm gonna guess that
A
you're
little less than 8/12.
to, yeah.
A
not
little
quite
less
right.
than
Yes,
8/12.
yes.
Okay. Chief, can I ask you a philosophical question related to this?
Sure.
How do you feel about people that lie and cheat?
How do I feel about,
Huh?
I don't condone it.
Excuse me?
I don't condone it.
Okay.
What's your point?
Town manager. This is the fourth year in a row that you brought this up, that I've been on the council, where you've tried to gut the RSO program for the town. Last year, you were voted down 4-1 by the people that set the policy for this town. This afternoon, I visited a friend of mine. Her name is Diane Cornegay. She's a resident of Howey-in-the-Hills. She's also the superintendent of education for Lake County. And she was this year nominated for and approved as Superintendent of the Year in the state of Florida, by the way. I also talked to a gentleman by the name of Joseph Mabry. The information that we were provided in this document is not what the two of them provided to me this afternoon. First of all, they said they're still reimbursing at 83.3%. So the amount we would receive is essentially the amount we received in prior year. I didn't bother to go through this year and analyze your numeric numbers. I did that last year. And last year you said there was about $100,000 savings by making this move. And last year I showed you that the amount of differential or the extra cost to the town was in the low 50,000 range, or about half of what you said last year. I still believe it is the same. Now, if we convert one of these officers to a road patrol officer, what percent will we be on the hook for of the cost to have that officer, to include their equipment and their squad car?
Well, so if we're looking at the cost of an officer after the savings, a cost of one officer, and we're going off of Mr. Ojeda's numbers, so the savings would be in the area of 104,000, and the cost of an officer benefits and salary is anywhere from 83 to 89,500.
Okay, would you say it would be 100%?
We would come out a little bit ahead, I think, with the savings for absorbing one officer onto road patrol.
Well, whatever it costs to keep that officer in employ, we would be on the hook for 100% of that amount, right?
That is correct.
In the near future, we're anticipating probably a doubling of the population of the town of Howey. You and I have discussed this many times.
Yes.
Within the next 5 years, I wouldn't be surprised if we have over 5,000 people. If we have over 5,000 people, we will need to expand the size of our police force, will we not?
We would have a road patrol of about 20 officers at that point.
Okay. And so
That's not according.
2,500.
2.1 in Florida, the
Five.
average.
15.
we,
I'm sorry.
we would have more officers.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not,
more,
I'm not going
sure.
to quibble with you about the exact number,
Mhm.
but it appears to me, and I've made this statement to you in private and in public before,
Mhm.
concerning the fact that we're probably going to need over the next 5 years to incrementally increase the force. And in fact, that same discussion was held a year ago when we approved the contract by a vote of 4-1 last year to do essentially the service. I think there are members of this council that believe that providing this particular service of school resource officers by certified law enforcement personnel is in the best interest of the town of Howey-in-the-Hills, and that it will overall assist us in maintaining a larger police force. Based on that, I disagree with the study as it was presented. I am concerned and appalled by the fact that I had to ask the school board employees, including the superintendent, who assured me that the reimbursement rate this year is the same as it was in prior years. I'm beside myself. I am so upset on this particular item.
That is
I
not
don't,
correct.
I really don't think you should be doing this year after year.
So just to clarify, Council Miles,
I just want to say, I'm sorry, Tillman.
you go ahead.
I just, I'm also annoyed with that this conversation keeps coming up. And, this year, my thing is that I do believe that the town is on the hook for quite a bit of money because one, the school system itself and its public information that they are struggling with their budget. Now, I'm not here to discuss their budget. I'm here to discuss our budget as a town. The concern that I have, and based on the number crunching that I've done, I think that when we are putting money out to the town, to the school for the SRO, I do not believe that one officer should be left in a school. You always have to have someone from the same force as a witness to that person. If you have that one officer that is in the school, and God forbid there is an incident that happens, then if our guys that are on road patrol, that officer cannot leave the school because they're not supposed to leave the area. That means we can have someone broken, bleeding, and shot on 19, and you got an officer that is less than 2 miles away who cannot even go to assist that person. This is a very passionate subject for me because what we're talking about is safety. I believe that if the school is able to get the guardians who are gun certified, who are certified to carry firearms, they may not have the arresting power, but if our officers are not inside that school, but if there is an arresting power that is needed, then that would be the purpose of having the Howey Police Department to respond to that incident. The town is growing, and to your point, we can see it growing at least exponentially about 5,000 in less than 5 years.
Yeah.
Because, we have Watermark that's coming up, and when there are people, there comes problems because all of the paperwork is written for when there are no people.
And your point,
My point is that I am not in agreement with continuing the SRO contract.
if I
I
can,
think that when we look at the amount of money and number crunching that I've done, to see whatever it is that you have in writing.
since you brought it to my attention here, and I brought it to your attention that I had a conversation with two individuals that participated from the school board side just this afternoon. Are you calling?
I'm not calling. No.
Wait a minute.
True.
Now let's just stop.
What I want to see is in writing.
Arguing
Just,
with you.
just stop for the second. First and foremost, let's just get one thing completely straight. It's not up to the town manager to bring this or push this.
Correct.
It's a renegotiation of a contract.
Correct.
And that contract has to be approved by this council. So when
Yes, but I was gonna see the.
Talking.
David,
David, sit down. Sit down.
Presiding officer, you
Behave yourself, David, or you leave. The presiding officer, the gavel, and I've already told you to stop. The cause of this happening. That is a year. Because the contract.
This is my decision. This is not the town manager's decision this
The
year.
contract has to be reviewed and that has to come to the discussion.
Suggestion here.
May I?
I make a suggestion that we have the Lake County school people come here and tell us what the numbers are, what they want, and then we present to them what we feel is fair and come to an agreement, yes or no.
But they won't do that, Tim.
If they have before, they did last year and the year before.
I would like to address two of Counselor Miles's most salient points. And one is that this is not the fourth time, this is the sixth time, because I've been here
It's the
6 years.
fourth since I've been here.
Okay, well, okay, correction.
I was not on the council in the years prior to that.
But to the mayor's point, this is something that comes up every year. And to the second point, and I will say, I was in a meeting with Mr. Mabry and his assistant, I can't remember what her name is, along with Oscar, along with the chief, along with the lieutenant. And I will let them speak as to what they understood the reimbursement to be. But my understanding was that we had been very mistaken in how we were doing it, and that they definitely wanted a change to follow the current contract, which was going to be the same in the upcoming contract, which was 180 days, not a penny more, not a penny less. Discard the whole 10/12 model, make it the 180 days. They don't want to see anything else. That's what they're going to pay. I will leave Mr. Ojeda, the chief, the lieutenant, to confirm if that was also their understanding in their meeting with Mr. Mabry 3 or 4 weeks ago.
That was my understanding leaving that meeting. We were all there together and we came away with the same belief.
Okay, so you're accusing.
I'm not accusing anybody.
Wait a minute, I'm not accusing you.
Okay, I was talking.
This gentleman. You're accusing the superintendent for this county's school board of lying to me, is what you're doing.
I can't.
She told me this afternoon, and it was confirmed by Joseph M. Mabry, that there was no change in the reimbursement methodology between last year and this year. That makes your numbers significantly in error.
So
on the low and the amount of the subsidy. Nobody has ever questioned whether there was a subsidy by us. And it's primarily due to the fact that we're providing an officer with a gun, a uniform, a radio, a car, a taser, and whatever other equipment we buy for them, because they only reimburse salary.
So,
But in the past, this council has said that minor reimbursement was an acceptable amount. I do not believe that it's appropriate for us to approve a contract that we're not even provided a copy of it. And I'm going to ask the town attorney whether or not
But what contract?
the contract between us.
But there is.
But I think that, Councilor Miles, I think you're saying the same thing that we said at the beginning when you just quoted Diane Cornegay, when you said, she said, the reimbursement methodology did not change from last year to this year. That is 100% correct. And we actually said that at the beginning of this
And
conversation.
she indicated it was, and she went beyond that. She said it was still at the 83.3% of total salary and benefit cost.
Well, that's.
She didn't tell me that it was changed because there was an hourly billing and computation rate. She said that what we've been reimbursed in the past, we will be reimbursed that same way in the future. She told that to me this afternoon.
Okay, well, that's slightly different than what we got from me.
Can I ask the attorney a question?
So we were billed.
Excuse me.
Quarterly.
Excuse me, I'm asking the
I want to
attorney a
answer your
question.
question real quick.
Excuse me, Lieutenant. I'm asking the attorney a question. Is it appropriate for us to approve a contract that we haven't been provided a copy to look at?
You can approve parameters for a contract without seeing it. I mean, that's a policy
It's
decision, but
verbal contract between us and the school.
I don't,
Will it be reduced in writing at some point?
I don't think that the action tonight was to approve the contract. I think
Yes,
that's
it
a-
is.
No, it's not.
Look on the agenda.
It's consideration approval of the SRO contract,
No,
which we've been told verbally was going to be substantially the same. So there could be a direction to the town manager to execute the contract, provided
Well,
that's essentially the same contract.
I'm just gonna say, I feel that I have been lied to by members of this staff, and in particular, because I recognize the format of that spreadsheet as being the same format that you provided in the 3 prior years that it came from the town manager. You may have transferred it electronically to the finance director, but I am beyond myself.
Council,
Already.
But
Council, may I say?
I didn't interrupt you when you talked. We did, I did not.
Sir,
I have the floor.
David,
I have the floor, and I want to express an opinion. This man lied to me. He flat out lied to me about this particular contract. And I would like to see the contract in writing before I will vote on whether or not it should be approved.
And I can.
The contract does not include numbers. They do not ask for numbers.
Okay, and Mr. Ojeda can address, he created the spreadsheet last year, but I believe last year and this year were completely his own. I mean, I'll let him address that.
Yeah, for the past 2 years, I have been the one creating the Excel sheet.
Have you using the format that he prepared?
He never provided a format.
Frankly, you're only putting the numbers in, David. It doesn't matter how that was created.
And he put the numbers into the
And he did
spreadsheet.
those independently.
But it has been the position, and I know, Mr. Mayor, that your position is you don't believe we should subsidize the school board, and we've had an ongoing argument about the dollar amount. And, I've done financial management for a long, long time. The numbers are not as big as they say. There is in fact a subsidy that we provide the school board, but it's much smaller than the $104,000. And there is a benefit that we get. We get 2 months worth of service. And yes, I know that part of that time they're on vacation and sick leave and whatever, but we get 2 months worth of service from 3 officers as an addition to the service. That's like adding 3 temporary employees on that could go and respond during that period. But unless we hire additional officers to address your point, then we wouldn't have those officers anyhow to go to this scene that's 2 miles away, because we couldn't afford them, because we would have to pay over $100,000, pay benefits and equipment per officer as an addition. We're going to have to address that during the budget process upcoming, but I think that we need to table this item tonight and bring it back with corrected numbers that I would like to see both the school board and the staff together say, this is the correct amount, because I'm getting 2 different stories. And I don't understand why.
Right. So David, here's my point to what you're saying is that when we talk about the stories, we're speaking about 2 different stories. Even last year, we had the same discussion.
Yes, we did.
And so what I'm the year before and the year before. So here we are. We're back here in 2026 with this discussion, but here's the difference now.
We have a different chief.
Absolutely big difference. We not only have a different chief, but we also have a different demographic change that has taken place within the town. And when we say demographic, meaning as far as growth.
So let me just use that word, growth. So what we have now is that
We have more people. Yes.
Right. So more people brings what? More things happening.
Yes,
And
it
what we
does.
need to do is this is just my opinion, and I'm not expecting anyone to agree with it, but I really believe wholeheartedly in this. We need to corral our resources because as time go on, we're going to have to hire additional police. But if we have our SROs that are in schools that really should not have their time taken up in the schools, but should be within the town, and as well as night patrol, right? You should have at least 2 individuals in night patrol.
As we get bigger, yes.
Even now, because guess what? Even with having the construction, you know what I saw, I witnessed when Venezia was getting built out, because we were number 7 built into that community. While they were building the back half of that community and they were putting in the stainless steel refrigerators and stoves and so forth, there were people that were coming in through the back gate with pickup trucks, taking them out of those homes, right? So now we've got 3 developments that are happening, and this is another job that our police force will have. I am not saying that the schools are not important. Yes, they are, but they are the future and they are important. But at the same time, our town and our citizens are important as well. And it is the safety of our town and citizens. And if all of the funds that are going for the police department, if we were able to use the 2 or 3 SROs that we have in the schools, then that means that now we don't have to come up with this big chunk of money, approximately a quarter of a. No, you're not looking at the numbers, because if you pull those SROs and you crunch the numbers, where it's 104,000, now the only thing that the town would have to come up with is approximately somewhere between 61,000.
Yeah.
It's about 21,000.
Reimbursement from the school would be zero.
The same time, I don't believe either, Pro Tem Everline, is that the statements that are being made by the school district. I am not saying that anyone is not telling the truth, but I want to see it in writing, because there have been a change in their billing practice.
Okay.
That we need to see in
Made
writing.
motion to table this
Hang
item.
on, David, I'll decide when there's going to be a motion on the table, because I'm the presiding officer and I ain't putting up with none of this crap from
I'm not
anybody.
listening to the crap from you
Listen.
either.
Listen, I'm the presiding officer and we will conduct these meetings with the decorum and in good order. And if
I
you
can't have
do
the
that,
staff lying to me.
they're not lying to you, David.
Yes, they are.
Difference of opinion.
According to what the school board told me, one, either the 2 of them.
David, you be quiet or you can go home, because this.
No, you can't threaten me to go home.
Then just behave yourself.
Behaving myself.
Really? If this is behaving yourself.
She's talking as loud as I am.
Can I just say that through this whole discussion, what concerns me, nobody's mentioned the children. It's like the children aren't important.
But
You want to bring the officers out, let's have guardians in the school, and then what's gonna
No,
happen?
we didn't say that. One guardian. They would replace him with the sheriff.
They're gonna have to.
They would replace him with the sheriff.
And how much is the sheriff gonna charge, Chief
That's why
Mike?
they use that, because the sheriff is quite a bit more expensive.
So why wouldn't they want to make a deal with us?
I was also
Because they
told by
never
them
have done, Tim.
they would to have 3 Howie police officers like they've had in the past. That's
Of
their
course they-
preference.
Of course they would.
That's their preference. That the only reason they suggested the guardian was because you and you, the 3 of you, the 2 of you, and this gentleman here, had said, oh, it's costing us a fortune.
Never
It's not-
said that. So who's
It's
lying
not
now?
costing us.
That
a
was
fortune.
never said.
Actually,
Oh.
Counselor Miles, I will say,
Okay.
Mr. Mabry did come in initially and responded to the chief saying there was a strong possibility of reducing to 2 plus a guardian at the
Correct.
beginning of all of this.
That was not a
few months
request.
back.
And Mr. Mabry told me this afternoon, he only said that to offer you an alternative because you were crying so loudly to him about the extra
I talked
cost.
to him one time in my entire time being here.
Excuse me, when I'm talking to you, I'm talking plural.
Same to you.
There's 3 of you
You're all
involved. But the 3 of you have been, and this gentleman's been doing it for the entire 4 years I've been on this council, that been crying that it's costing us a fortune. It costs us about between 50 and 60,000 a year. I'll tell the public that. We are spending somewhere between 50 and
That's
60,000
your,
a
just
year.
your figures, David. Why should we believe your figures?
So,
That's
anyway, we spent 47 years as a private
the
contractor
figures.
in every unit of government except for the state of Florida. I've worked at the county, the
Right.
special district, the municipality, and the federal level. I can add, subtract, multiply, and divide.
I'm sure.
And I do not lie, and I do not brook with people that lie to me.
Are you
Feel like
in the finance supervisor? He put the
David, I'm
saying that
manager is a miscommunication and a
it's not
misunderstanding in the
miscommunication.
numbers, because when you look at what.
It's a
the personnel-
misrepresentation.
When you look at the personnel cost of what it costs for us to have the SROs, for the 3 SROs in the school, with the salary, the FICA, the Medicare, the police retirement contribution, the life insurance and the workers' comp that is required for all, it comes to 155,457.50. Now, what I'm asking is that
No, that's-
do the.
That's what
No.
I'm saying they would.
Can you guys wait a minute and listen? Thank you. So when you deduct and when you look at the difference between the school and what they give, and then you have the town. The difference is going to be, what we're speaking of for this year is $104,000. It is a 64% reimbursement if you crunch the numbers.
No, it's not. That's why I'm saying that is not what the staff at the school board said.
I'm not calling you or them a liar. What I am saying is, it means that we need to do diligence. You've been a financial manager forever. And what I
You're
want
right.
you to do is to crunch the numbers. Don't listen to what this one is saying or that one. Do your independent study
I have crunched
so
the
that you
numbers.
can. I've done it. So what are you saying, that I don't know what I'm talking about?
I don't know.
It's
I didn't say anything about you.
Numbers do not.
I'm saying that,
This is what the numbers are.
no,
The town don't,
those are not,
talk about.
I'm saying those numbers are inaccurate.
Okay, if you say so.
All right. I'm going to ask for a motion to have a recess for 10 minutes so that people can recollect themselves, and we will come back to this topic afterwards. Do I have a second, please? All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, say nay.
And please don't talk amongst yourself about this issue or other town issues.
Okay.
Recess.
Have the 3 people that are from one neighborhood in this community, have they been talking out of school prior to this meeting?
We're in recess.
The vote hasn't been completed. The
Yes, it
nays are
has.
not. You didn't ask for the nays.
Yes, I did. And
Yes,
you
you did.
didn't speak, and neither did Tim.
You
So
did
we had
ask
three,
for the-
we had 3.
Then
ayes,
record
and
me
now-
as being a nay.
That's fine, but you didn't speak. We had 3 ayes and.
It's because you were trying to speak over top of me.
Hey. Minutes.
Guys, sunshine law.
Only done.
No, 2 of them went out. Oh, Sean and John, you're right. Okay. Sorry, it just.
Actually, and the last time I did go, I had been going with them and we talked about,
It's fine.
well, not into the restroom. But there was never anything, nothing untoward going on.
Don't let them.
Counselor Lanneman, how was your birthday?
It was outstanding, wonderful, stupendous, and excellent.
Good. Are you still celebrating it?
Actually, I am. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to be celebrating some more next weekend, this weekend.
So you know, there is one clause in a contract, I can't.
They can?
They can't be called out.
Okay.
You know, I worked.
It was great. Yeah. So tomorrow afternoon, I leave for Panama.
Panama City or Panama?
Panama, the country.
Oh, very nice.
I'll be there until Friday,
Fantastic. What are you doing over there?
going to help my sister move
Oh, that'll be so much fun. Where's she going?
to Panama.
Oh, she's going to Panama.
Yeah, she had the house in Tampa.
Okay.
She has the house in Tampa. So she's decided that she really wanted in Panama. She loves it there. So she'll be living there about 10 months out of the year.
Do you like it there as well?
I love it.
Yeah,
I'm just not ready to like.
yeah, I understand. And actually, you haven't had your house for too long either, have you?
Almost 19 months.
Oh, really? It's been that long?
It's
Okay.
been that long. And I kind of like it where I like to have the both worlds.
Sure.
But there's a lot of conveniences here that is not there, but then at the same time, there are things that are there that is not here, like peace.
Understood. Yeah, my husband and I are looking for our retirement place too. We there's a little island. So my husband's from Puerto Rico, and there's a little island off of Puerto Rico that absolutely love. So
You know, all I could do was
Yeah.
point it out.
yeah, no,
No, they said the mayor and John Arnold went out now.
I have a feeling John Arnold's in the little boys' room, and I can go and see the class.
There you
Mayor's actually just standing there breathing in the air.
Yeah. Yes, I'm sorry, I'm just being,
Taking a breath.
I mean, I guess I'm taking on some of this.
I was talking to I have a friend that works at the city of Republicans. And she was telling me that one time, one of their meetings went into 1 AM. There's nothing that has to do yes.
This was not gonna go well. Oh, I mean, as far as this
That would be a lot. Hopefully he do really good. If he does wrong, we will have it.
That's why I was going to tell her, I told her we can have.
It'd be nice.
Yeah, what, you think I.
Then it would be.
Okay, I'm just trying to, you know, I was really careful that I didn't do it. This one time. You won't set it up there, say. Make sure nobody else will try to do something, you know. You know, it's like this. He was good, and that's why. It's not, make her aware of. I will more quietly say the nice chief. Don't say that. You didn't have to change somebody. You were not being yourself. You were accusing somebody of being alive. But now it's all the meeting. If one game is in the book. Here's a percent town. And it's different. Jen. We had to both. But you do once. I think just. And no one be what average. Okay, define that. Every one over what he does. That's her agreeing to it. It's not your fault. She just. See it, she wants the match. And he's so. Worried about something like that face. Okay, it's 2 minutes. I don't want you. To make a decision. He's going to go to that. But I think he really so much. The same job. So I was caught by comparison. Okay, it's good you're going on vacation. Yeah, what's gonna happen? I can shoot what you said there. Well, gas doesn't want it, but even if I say so, is. That saves one big last one. Well, there was about 50 different see what they were exactly this thing. Martin is not that spicy that now. There's more submissions. Yes. He's asked. That's just exactly much because I'm sorry. Why would you take this one? He didn't have anything about it. You know what? I think. You know what? Leaders. You know, you got. The chief officer. Workers. And they're just waiting. Here from the insurance company, the city's insurance company. They determine. Nice. Y'all, circle, count this all. So it's here. Rather than for that portion. That really shows you. What a deal. I agree with you. Morning. Nice outside.
Oh, it is. But when it's nice outside, the air conditioning gets cold in here.
Makes up for it in here.
It has been 10 minutes.
Are you kidding me?
Gotta go, Heather.
Yes, Marie, if we ever get to that point. Councillor Miles, please.
I'm still waiting to go to the bathroom. Somebody just ran in there.
It's quite
We
wintry in
don't, we
here.
don't usually have to turn it up a notch or two.
No, it's fine as it is.
Mayor's comfortable, I'm comfortable.
For those who are a little heated. Yes.
But they can't get in.
There's an officer, one of the officers playing them. I think they have a lot of items on, right?
Yes.
Is anybody else coming to the legislative discussion from Gray Robinson on Wednesday night? I know you would. And Miss Mary, which I'm looking forward to meeting her.
Are you going, Joe?
Yes, yeah, I thought it'd be good to get a quick recap of everything that was done up there and she was nice enough to provide us with written copy, but it might be nice to get a short verbal.
Oh, it'll be much more exciting than a written
I'll
copy.
take you know, there also may be stuff that they can talk about that they don't want to put in writing.
And you can say that you're not, but everybody who tells
Exactly. It will be in a much more fun, beautiful place. Just be careful.
Oh, absolutely.
Are you going on another cruise or?
No, helping my.
Taking a
sister
nap there, too.
relocate to Panama.
Not Panama.
So that you're taking a
The
nap.
country up.
Yeah.
if you think that, you're gonna.
Give me the answer. The Pacific side is not as rough as the Atlantic side. Atlantic side's the rough part of the country.
Where?
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
tomorrow?
where we are is closer to,
One, right?
really kind of bordering.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm picking John up at 12:30.
Yeah, that's, and that's, I had an assignment. I was supposed to go to Howard Air Base there in Panama. I can't.
You're not going away now?
But yeah.
You're not
that
going
was,
away now?
Oh, I'm going. Yeah, you know, we go to Cologne's a rough town. We just get everything. Cologne is a rough town.
Oh, yeah, Cologne. Mm.
Yeah.
Cologne is one of those places that you go in there by day and you gotta be out of.
Do they still use the American dollar as their official currency?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, that was one of the things for an overseas assignment, Panama. She didn't get a total cost of living adjustment because they used the American dollar. Whereas if you went to Germany, Italy, you got an extra bump in your pay for the differences in the currencies.
I heard that. We want to, should we ask?
TMI, TMI.
So yeah, one of the lieutenant colonels I worked for was a zoning.
Oh, okay.
So when I showed him a picture of, he showed me a picture of Panama City and both sides of the canal, and he goes, his dad worked for the Panama Canal Company. So he says, yeah, that's the building we lived in. That was my bedroom right there by that window. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's a beautiful.
it is, I was not
And it
happy.
has changed tremendously, especially since they started building the skyscrapers, you know, the
Yeah.
condominiums and everything.
Yeah, I was
A lot
not
of
happy with the
Americans
hands of the
are
assignment. I got sent to another foreign country called New Jersey.
All right, let's call this.
That was culture shock.
Call this meeting back to order at 7:43. I would just like to read section 9 of the rules of order the council abides by. Decorum of council members states that council members will confine comments to the question under debate and will refrain from impugning the motives of other members' argument or vote. The council member who is being disruptive and is called to order by the presiding officer will thereupon discontinue speaking. What we're going to do now, obviously, certain council members have had their say. I have not heard anything from Councillor Arnold. So I'm going to encourage him to speak, and others will not interrupt while he is speaking. And after that, I'm going to open it up for public comment. Joe?
I like the arguments Renee put forth.
Can you speak into your microphone, please?
I'm gonna support, Counselor Lanneman because, law enforcement is not my main expertise. So if I've got a law enforcement officer over there telling me that things should be different, then perhaps we should do it differently. So as far as I know, the numbers are good. They make sense. So that's all I'm gonna say.
All right, just before I bring it up for public comment, can I just ask the chief and the lieutenant to come forward? Obviously, the chief is new. He wasn't the chief last year, and neither was the lieutenant this year. So maybe you guys can tell us where you stand with regards to what you see with inside of the SROs and whether even leaving the money aside for one moment, where you see the SROs going over the next year as the chief. We still make the decision, but you're the guy that has to make it all work.
Well, I was not involved in any of the negotiations last year.
Now, chief.
Sorry?
Take it out
Take
of
it
the
out so
holder.
you can save your back.
I was not involved in the negotiations last year, but being a good troop, I supported the wishes of the previous chief. Since I've taken over, I've done some of my own figures, and I was not a fan of the friction that was present last year. I've talked to Oscar, I talked to Sean, I've talked to my lieutenant, I've talked to the school board. Obviously, there's different opinions of what the school board is asking. I'm not diminishing the importance of the SRO program at all. And I'm not saying we're going to abandon the schools and never go there again. If rightly so, a Lake County school, in my opinion, should be covered by the Lake County Sheriff's Office like it is in Sumter County. There's a reason that small agencies like Umatilla has the same number of officers we do, no SROs. You know, Tavares, one SRO, 50 officers. Mount Dora, I think they have 2 or 3, but again, 50 officers. For basically 45–50% of our staff to be in a school, that's problematic for shift coverage on my end, because the first year I was here, as you know, I spent many weeks in the schools because we were so short and we were having trouble recruiting and getting officers. I know last year there was an officer that was leaving. This year we're in the same boat. We have an officer that just put in his 2 weeks. He's moving to be closer to his family in North Carolina. Not moving because he's not happy. He's going to miss this agency, but he's got a decent offer job up in North Carolina with forestry. So it's a perfect time to bring our officers back. I am not an advocate for laying anybody off or cutting people's jobs. That's not me. Just when I ask numbers, I depend on the director of the finance department. I'm not going to come up with my own numbers. I look at his numbers and they make sense to me. He put it in a format that was easy to understand. It's just not sustainable for a 10-man department to have 45% of their staff in the school. Because not only every time if somebody's sick in the school, either myself or the lieutenant has to cover it. And not to mention we're paying for the sick or the vacation time on top of the overtime. I'm having to pay another officer to come and work that shift. I've tried to beef up our reserve/part-time officer program because, as you know, they only charge $15 an hour versus time and a half for 30–35 bucks an hour for another officer, a lot more for me or lieutenant. We don't get paid overtime, but obviously our hour rate is higher. Another problem I have is if you decide to keep this or a program and we keep with our normal 3 people or officers, right? I don't have time right now to hire somebody and have them trained before August. That just doesn't happen. I would have to pull a experienced officer or within a year, a relatively new officer from the road to cover that school, which means I'm gonna have to pay overtime to cover that shift, or me or lieutenant are gonna have to cover it. So last year I saw both sides. I could see arguments for and against. This year, after doing the numbers and the meeting, and I talked, we had a good meeting, and I've talked to Mabry one time on the phone. He flat out said, it's no heartburn if y'all don't want to be in the schools. We will put a green uniform in there. However, they need to know something soon because they have to start making a plan for next year. So, Johnny, feel free to add.
So I'm going to kind of echo a little bit of what the chief said as well as Lanneman. I think we need to understand that we're the last city within the county who doesn't have either overlapping shifts coverage or full coverage. We're working 1 officer day, 1 officer night with 3 officers in the school. That's not sustainable with the growth that's coming. And when you're talking about safety, I understand that the schools are important, and to echo the chief, nobody is diminishing that. But I think we have to understand the schools are going to be well covered between the sheriff's office, the guardian program, if they choose so, and ourselves. We're going to maintain our partnership with the schools and with the sheriff's office to ensure our visibility on campus. So I can assure the citizens that we'll be there. We'll be there in force. We'll make sure that we're visible and available and trained with those individuals. But I think it's important to the officers and to the town to understand when you have someone on midnights or when you have someone in the evening and we don't have 2 coverage and we're waiting on Astatula or our partners who do have coverage to come, that's a long 5 minutes or a long 2 minutes when we're waiting on it. Now, you guys can discuss numbers all you want, but then you get into training. You know, we get full shifts, we get full coverage. It allows us to bring a part-time officer in to cover a full-time officer's training. There's a big difference than bringing a part-time officer in every time we try to cover a school or every time we try to cover a road patrol shift. And we're at the beck and call, no matter how many part-time officers we have, we're at their beck and call and their work schedule. So I think if we owe it to the town and we owe it to the officers to give them training, to give our corporals and our command staff the ability to see them. And let's, instead of hiring outside, let's try to get these individuals as we grow in position to grow with the agency. So our recommendation and the chief's recommendation is currently at this time, we're losing 1 officer to North Carolina for family out of the schools, and we have 2 left. With the difference that Oscar has provided, we could absorb 1 officer with a minimal cost of paying for the second one. So I urge your consideration. If you have any questions on that, you can simply get with Astatula and understand their full shift with 1 in a school. You're welcome to get with Maldora. There are 40 to 50 officers with 3 in a school. You can get with Claremont, who has upwards of 100 officers with 3 in a school. You're welcome to get with Umatilla, who has 0 in the schools and full coverage on the road. If you'd like to provide those stats, I will get with each of those agencies and bring them back to you, but that's just my recommendation.
Since you brought that up, let me ask you a question. How many officers does Astatula have total?
They have 8 plus the lieutenant and the chief.
Yeah, because the last I heard they had 6.
They have 8.
They have the same structure, same.
They have a small population, but the same structure basically. But their lieutenant
They have a
actually
total of 8 or
8 officers plus the lieutenant and the chief, so 10. Same as
so they have 10, just like we do, is what you're saying.
correct.
Okay, and they pay for all 10 of them.
Correct.
And they don't get reimbursed by the school board.
They have 1 in the school.
They have 1 of the 10 in a school.
In Astatula.
And so what are you proposing? You're proposing to eliminate the contract altogether? Or are you proposing to go to 2 officers and the guardian?
To eliminate.
Okay.
Be done.
Thank you, Chief. Can I now open this up for public comment before I bring it back to council? It is a consideration and approval, and we're going to go with what is on the agenda.
Marie Galelli, 1104 North Tangerine. It does say on the agenda, consideration and approval. I do not think we should be approving this tonight. I don't know if there's a deadline that it has to be approved tonight, but I think there's too much open discussion. I think it'd be, I think we need to see a contract. Stuff that was in the agenda, they are considering reducing SROs. The school board may only pay an hourly rate. I mean, there's ifs in the agenda that there's nothing concrete here that we could be voting on. I think it's a good suggestion to have someone from the board here come and talk, which they did a couple years ago. As far as Lake Hill School and talking about the children, like Pro Tem Everline mentioned, I have a nephew who is handicapped, and they get used to seeing the same people. You put in a, whatever they called him, a green something, just. Guardian.
He was referring to the sheriff's deputy when he's talking about green because they wear green uniform.
Sorry, I just heard green. That there's consistency with the SROs, and I realize this, even our SROs get sick and.
Well,
somebody has-
also, Maria, sorry to interrupt you, but also one of the SROs that we had in the school, Rafi, resigned and is now went to Mount Dora for more money. And as a consequence, whilst I think it's a valid point you make, unfortunately, it doesn't always work out that way because people do move on and the kids have to get used to somebody else. The likelihood is if the sheriff's department go in there, then will probably be more consistency than there is with our own people.
They talked about that a couple years ago. They're the board, and that they would have to be paying a lot more for Lake County.
We accept.
It's why it's. Let me just see if I had anything else scribbled here. Just a comment that Council Lanneman made. I volunteered at the hospital, and they've changed the way they do security. And they have a person at the back door at the MOB, which is where I volunteered. And his job was to stay there. If there was an issue right inside Endo, his job was to stay at the rear door. We all thought it was weird, but just kind of your point that's where they're supposed to be. That's their job. That's their responsibility. And there have to be other people that can be on 19 if someone's bleeding, shot, and whatever you said. Anyway, I think we need to table it, go to another meeting, have them here to speak, and we need to see what we're voting on and spending a lot of money on or not. Thank you very much.
Andy Everline, 1012 North Lake Shore Boulevard. I think it goes beyond dollars and cents. I think it goes into community, thinking about those kids, the kids in our, go to school in our community. As a teacher, as a parent, I have seen where resource officers, school resource officers are phenomenal. I have seen it as a teacher with special ed kids that need the consistency. Yes, you're going to have somebody maybe leave, retire, whatever. But for the most part, they are getting a consistent person. And I've seen it with high school kids that have problems with authority. They get to know the resource officer in the school, and there becomes a bond because that kid sees him a little more than other kids do. And I've seen where it has turned kids around. And to just say and when I was looking information up beyond me, in Florida, the Florida Sheriff's Association said that it works best when the officers can come from your own community. I think it's a wonderful thing, and I think it's $1 worth spending.
Good evening. I'm Officer Severance with the Howey-in-the-Hills Police Department. I was not intending to do this, but I want to address some of the issues that you.
Can you address the council, please?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Just some of the issues that they brought over. And as an officer, I'm speaking as an officer who works the road and who have covered the schools for other officers when they go to training classes, when they have to go take a sick leave or something like that. So we work rotations of 12 hours. 12 hours during the day, 12 hours at night, every 2 days, then 2 days off, then we perhaps have a weekend of 3 days, and so on. So the next weekend will be off, right? When you have, per se me, that I was working the night shift, and then they have to find coverage for school, I cannot come the very next day because if I work from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., I cannot be in school at 7:30 in the morning to do another 8 hours. So they have to mingle and look for people to come over and cover the schools. Because the only days that we could come and cover is the days that the following day, the third day. So for an agency, I come from Mount Dora. I put 13 years in Mount Dora. Mount Dora has staff for everything. So comparing me that I have that experience and I can talk about how they get covered out there. They have a SRO unit. So that means they have a sergeant and a corporal and all of the officers that they go in that unit for SRO. Plus that unit is part of another unit that is community relations unit. So they have all of those officers are certified SROs. So let's say, for example, somebody at the high school call out, they have plenty of people to cover. We do not have that kind of personnel in here. So in that sense, yes, it makes sense for us to come out and serve our community and put the deputies in the schools. The kids, they will adjust to the new officer or the new deputy, particularly in this kind of schools that we have here that we serve. Most of those kids don't recognize or cannot build those type of relationships. Yes, we recognize them. We know them by their names, but sometimes the feedback is not the same. So, and like I said, they will adjust. So from the perspective of the officers, it will be convenient that we have our officers on the road. It's best for the city, for the town, and for us, for our safety as well. Because having to be at 3:00 in the morning trying to fight somebody on the side of the road by myself, waiting for an 8-minute ride from another officer coming from Astatula, which is my closest one. You know how hard it is to fight a 30-second fight by yourself? Imagine waiting 8 minutes. So from the perspective of an officer, separate from what my command staff have expressed and what the papers have saying, it is for the best of our town. It is for the best of the police department. Thank you.
Thank you, Ivy. Any other public comment? If not, then I'll close public comment and
I have a couple more questions. of
I also
Chief.
have some things I want to say.
Chief, could you join us again? You've convinced 3 of the folks here that it's a good idea to not have the SRO program. If we abolish that, we will go from having 10 authorized positions to 7 authorized positions. Who are you planning on laying off, or how are you going to handle the contraction of your workforce?
We've already,
An inappropriate question.
It's not an
That's personnel.
inappropriate
It's
question.
a personnel and employment question. It
It's-
has nothing to do with whether we accept this program or not.
that's a discussion for when we start.
You want to talk to him about being belligerent with me?
So just to clarify, Counselor Miles, so these officers are budgeted for the remainder of the fiscal year, and we are shortly going to have our FY 27 discussions, at which point
That's what I'm asking.
council,
That's why I'm
council
asking
would,
them.
council would have a discussion. I can say broadly that more than one counselor has talked to me about the expansion of the force, and we've had those internal conversations as well in looking at FY 27. I would also say that if we were to have further attrition, either now or between now and the budget cycle, I don't think we'd be looking to immediately backfill that. We would
Right.
pace ourselves and.
So
and look
you,
at FY
you're
27.
hoping that 2 more officers will quit?
I am not. I'm hoping that we are able to absorb certainly one, possibly two, but I mean, attrition does happen for other situations.
Okay.
So we will have those conversations when
So,
we get into the budget plan.
We're gonna end up having 9 positions still, is that correct?
Initially.
For the remainder of the fiscal year at least, unless
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
other attrition.
Okay, and no, I mean, going forward beyond this school year, when the current contract expires, we will have, currently we have 10 officers total in the force. You're suggesting how many officers are you proposing to have in the force after we turn down this SRO agreement?
So that's a good question. I would say we are immediately losing one through natural attrition. We have budgeted the remaining, well, we've budgeted the 10 officers for the remainder of the year. I would not backfill the 10th position. I would not backfill the 9th position if we were to have some other attrition. And as we go into the budget discussions, we talk about absorbing the 6th road patrol, possibly adding a 7th road patrol. That's a council discussion. That's part of the
Yeah,
budget
right.
planning.
You and I have talked about the fact, I believe, and this is my position, we should begin as part of the budget process, adding 1 certified officer per fiscal year. So at the current strength, that would mean next year you would go from 10 to 11 to 12 to 13.
Or another way to look
But
at
if
5
we-
road patrol to 6.
Wait, let me finish what I'm saying. If we don't have the SRO, we only currently fund out of our own pockets 7 officers, plus we fund 2/12 of 3 other officers, which is 6/12 as my arithmetic. So we fund currently out of our resources 7.5 man years and women years worth of employees. How many are you proposing that we will fund? I learned a long time ago that now they've changed the shifts, but I've been through the 12-hour shifts before. But I learned when I first came into the Army, and we used to have a security guard force at the depot I was stationed at. It took 5 people to man 1 position 24 hours a day and to provide them enough wherewithal to cover sick leave, vacation leave, and all the other different things. And even with that, they had to do some overtime because you couldn't predict that maybe 2 people would be gone at one time. And so you had to fill one with one of the positions, or you wouldn't have that post fill. Now, if we have 7 people that are funded out of our current resources, and we fund an 8th person 50%, and or maybe let's just say that we bump up our budget out of the savings that we have from deleting these 3 positions, we bump it up to the 8th position. Can you, and that includes the chief and the lieutenant position. So it's 6 officers, the chief and a lieutenant. How many positions would the road patrol have staffed 24 hours a day with that?
You'd have 6 on a rotation and you have a swing shift on both Alpha Bravo and Charlie Delta.
You have, how many would be on duty at one time?
Well, from 6 to 6, you'd have from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. or noon to midnight, it would be 2 officers on the road.
So you would have 2 officers in the daytime and 1 officer at night. Is that what you're saying on the night?
After 10 o'clock.
You basically have a 2-shift system.
Correct.
Okay, rather than
We would
the
have a
three-
swing shift.
The old-fashioned 3-shift system was basically 3/8. So
Yep.
you're going with 2 12s.
Correct.
So what you're saying is 6 officers would allow you to staff 24 hours a day, 3 posts,
Not 24 hours a day, no.
3 posts,
Not 24 hours a day.
2 posts during the
Yes, correct.
daytime and a
swing
post
shift.
at night.
Correct.
So you've got 3 posts manned in a 24-hour period of time.
Correct.
And one of them's on the night shift and 2 of them are on the day shift.
No, one's night shift, one's day shift, one is a swing shift.
There's
Eh,
overlapping shifts, right?
Overlapping. shifts.
Okay, you're saying that one of them will work
The
part of the day shift and part of
The
the
corporal,
night shift.
the corporal on
Okay.
each side.
Where are you going with this, David?
Where I'm going with
Move
it,
on.
there won't be enough officers to maintain that.
We're doing it now with less.
Yeah, can I just,
There's not enough officers to do that.
There is.
That's why we're asking to absorb the school resources. You're correct, sir. We have an Alpha Bravo now and we need the additional. So you're absolutely correct with that statement.
Yeah.
let me just.
We used to, before, let me finish it. Before we went to the SRO, I was here watching what the department did. When I came to Howie, we had 6 officers total, including the chief. And we added a 7th one at that point in time. And that was so we could have 1 officer in the day and 1 officer at night. Now, with 1 more person above the 7, which is what our current funding would allocate without the SROs, you're telling me we can now fund 2 officers?
Your
Checking the
number
day-
7 is not
No.
correct. We're paying for 8 officers because we're paying $100,000 on top of what the school board
Okay.
pays us.
I'm
So we're paying for 8 officers.
and that includes the 2 of you, by
Correct.
the way, as
Correct.
part of that 8.
Correct.
Okay. So are you 2 part of that rotation?
No, we're day shift.
So the other 6 are going to be able to maintain that rotation
We do it with 4 now.
7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
Correct.
And that would be +2.
Okay. Thank you, Chief.
Let me just get this off my chest, Tim, and then I'll come back to you. First off,
I don't envy you, by the way.
First off, the chief didn't need to convince me as 1/3 of Venezia to do this. You may remember I was the advocate for doing it. I was the one vote
Yes.
that did it last year. I thought I put in a good case. Last year would have been a better opportunity to do it because we'd actually had 2 people leave. Therefore, what we were going to save with the SRO would fund that 1 remaining person. This year round, we're not quite in that position where we have 1 person that is leaving. So therefore, one of the SROs is going to, that cost is going to go away. The savings on the SRO is going to pay for 1 and part of another officer. So we're probably going to pay, I'm guessing, somewhere between 50 and 80% of that officer. And we won't know what we're going to do with that until we get into the budget season. I'm not an advocate of increasing the number of police officers by 1 a year, as has been indicated, because that is all dependent upon how soon the growth is. If the growth doesn't come, we're not going to increase it because the number of police we've got has got to be relative to the number of population that we have got. So that
If you don't do that, then you're going to run into the same problem that you ran into with the building clerk.
but and you may be right, but that's the job of the chief and the lieutenant to manage that, both from a standpoint of how they get their manpower to do what they need to do, but also from a budgetary constraint, which is obviously final decision comes on that from this council.
So next fiscal year, what do you see as the number of officers that the police department would have?
I think at this moment in time, we are going to end up with 7 officers. If no officers other than the one that has already decided he's going to leave, if there's no further attrition, we will have 7 officers plus the chief plus the lieutenant.
So a total of 9.
A total of 9, which is less than what they have. Well, it's probably the same as what they have in Astatula because they have 1 SRO in the only school that they have over there. So we would kind of be on a par with that. The other thing to bear in mind, of course, they talk about Astatula backing us up when we have a problem. We also have to back Astatula up when they have a problem. And I've seen
us back Tavares up too.
Well, I've seen it literally in Tavares where somebody reported a robbery in the liquor store when somebody had actually just stolen a bottle of booze, and there were 2 from Astatula, there were 2 from Howey, there was Astatula, Howey, and Tavares, plus the sheriff's office all turned up at the same time. So we've got that to cover. How we go forward will depend a lot on how the build out of what we've got coming down the pike is going to happen. And we don't know that yet. But that's the part that we have to manage both from a budgetary point of view and also from the chief and the lieutenant in how many officers they need to do their job and to keep everybody safe. Because we talk about the children. The children will be safe in the schools because when we're not there, there will be other people there. But we've also got to look, as Councillor Lanneman alluded to, is the safety of both the people that pay taxes in the town and also the safety of our own officers when they have to deal with. I mean, just today, what happened in Leesburg? You know, 1 officer shot somebody who was whatever the case may be, and that officer was on his own. So at the end of the day, we've got
The police officer shot a person.
Lake County.
It was a Lake County, sorry, but it was in Leesburg. But anyway, let me leave the final floor to Mayor Pro Tem Everline for his question, and then I'm going to bring it back to the agenda approval and a vote.
Yeah, I have a number of things. One is the officer from Mount Dora that got up and spoke. 16 years of my career was spent working with individuals with disabilities. And if you think those individuals don't form relationships, you better go back and do some studying. They not only form relationships, but they form stronger relationships. And when you take a significant other out of their lives, it sets them back a great deal. So I just wanted to make that clear. To me, you've got 2 things going on here.
But she's not from Mount Dora, she works.
I know she came from Mount Dora.
But you said from Mount Dora.
Yeah, that's where she is.
But she works here.
I know that.
She's the one that's on limited duty now, so
But
she's not out on the road
She had
patrol.
her own experience of the children
I
at the
just
school,
wanted
I
to,
think
yeah,
is what
I
she
just
is,
wanted to
what
clarify
she is
that.
saying.
The second thing, I think we have 2 things here. We've got consideration of SRO officers, and then we have adding additional police. I think they need to be separate. In terms of the SRO thing, I agree with the resident Marie Galelli. I think we schedule a meeting, we have the school come, because if we don't do it, they're going to have to pay a lot more money for a sheriff's patrolman. We tell them, hey, We have to get this or we can't do it.
We told them that last year and the year before that.
Yeah, but we ended up compromising and you don't do that.
But
We agreed to take less money.
But we-
Renee. I remember it well.
But we also, Tim, whichever way you look at it, it's costing the town money, whether it's 60,000, as David
I-
believes, or whether it's Oscar's
I agree.
100,000.
I agree.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, is just the fact that we do not have to have our officers as SROs. It's not required.
Correct.
The sheriff's office
Right.
will do it.
Totally agree.
And this,
That's
That's
great.
why you sit down.
If we're gonna have 9 officers on duty, plus there will be 3 SROs that don't belong to us, that's a total of 12. That's 2 more than what we currently have. I'm great with that. The only problem is to get to us having 9, we're in essence gonna have to pay for an extra officer.
We have
We're
to
gonna pay
separate.
part of an extra officer. It won't be the full cost because of the saving we're making on the SROs.
Done.
Okay.
Interrupt him.
Sorry.
I apologize for interrupting.
That's fine.
I'm sorry I interrupted you.
That's all right. It gets ridiculous.
Welcome to council.
Yes.
Tim, make your other step.
I'm done.
Bring us-
Done. On board.
It is important.
No, it's not.
It is important.
I would like to make a motion that we table this until the next meeting, and in the interim, we obtain a copy of the actual agreement that we were considering to either approve or disapprove.
That agreement will not have any numbers. They do not request numbers. The numbers are based on cost.
Chief,
I know that. I just want to see the agreement.
the motion is on the floor. Do I have a second for that?
I'll second the tabling of this.
Okay, then can I have a vote to table the vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay.
Nay.
Nay. So now the motion on here is consideration and approval of the school resource officer contract. If anybody would like to make a motion to approve that contract.
Can I say that that's not what is up? The contract is up, but also what is up is adding 2 officers to our police department.
Well, that would be a separate motion.
But
I mean,
it's only one.
It's all in the consideration and approval. I'm fine if we separate them out.
Well, it's going to be separated out, but the short and long of it is, Tim, here is the fact is we don't get to do any changes unless we agree or disagree that we're going to continue with the SRO program. If we're not going to continue with the SRO program, then we're going to be in a situation where we're going to have to look at that. But at this moment in time, you are going to have the additional cost of a proportion of 1 officer. Now, the other one is going to be covered by the savings, and the third one is because he's leaving to go to North Carolina. We've already talked about increasing it as we go on. So at this moment in time, maybe natural attrition will deal with it. If not, we'll deal with it in the budget process. So does anybody have a motion to approve the school resource officer contract?
I so move.
One sec, I do have a question.
Hang on, this is to approve the contract for next year, John, just so we're clear.
Contract To continue the SRO.
Yes.
contract. That's the way I'm understanding.
That's
it.
correct. That's the approval, whether we want to continue with the SRO contract.
To have our officers in the.
You want to vote nay against that?
Well, first and foremost, I need a motion and then a second if there is one.
So you're looking for a motion to approve ending participation
No.
with the
No.
resource officer?
No, we're looking the opposite. If somebody wants to make a motion to approve the school resource officer contract, and that vote prevails, we will continue with the SROs. In the absence of that motion, or if that motion fails, then the SRO program for next year will not take place and it will go back to the county. Or go to the county, not necessarily back to the county. So do I have a motion? If I don't have a motion and I don't have a second, then that consideration approval fails, which to my understanding, Heather, if you can just confirm that.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the SRO function, just so we're on the record.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, this is a contract, so can we have a roll call vote, please, John? The vote,
And I would like to be presented that for confirmation at the, not later than the next meeting. If I could add that on to my motion,
sure.
since no copy of the contract has been provided to us so we don't know what we're voting about.
So we have a motion, we have a second. This is for approval to go forward in financial year 27 with the school resource officer contract. Can I have a roll call vote, please, John?
Mayor Pro Tem Everline,
Yes.
Counselor Arnold,
No.
Counselor Lanneman,
No.
Counselor Miles,
Yes.
Mayor Wells,
No.
motion fails.
Thank you for that spirited discussion. We'll move on. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Lieutenant. Consideration approval of the, well, first off, it's almost 8:30. If I can have a motion to extend the meeting by 30 minutes, please.
So move.
A second. If there is no second, it is 8:30 or almost 8:30. So you're saying you do not want to continue with tonight's discussion?
About past 9.
We only have one other item, right?
I'm just saying
Yes.
that in order to do that, we all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 4-1. This is consideration approval of the downtown corridor wastewater capacity plan. I'm not sure we're going to get through this in 30 minutes, but
Well,
we can try.
not for want of trying. So this is a continuation of a discussion. We last discussed it, I believe, in December. We previously discussed it in October prior to that. So we do have approximately a little bit less than 50 ERUs, equivalent residential units of wastewater, left out of the 1,600 provided by the CDD agreement. There was I'll say a gentle nudge from the CDD to not just sit on this capacity, but either do something with it. Either the town buys it or some other entities purchase it, or it goes back into the free market where some developer that needs excess capacity can get it. But per the terms of the agreement, it is supposed to be first come, first serve. So in the meantime, based on council input from these prior discussions that I mentioned, we did look at the downtown corridor as being the area that would benefit the most from potentially hooking up to wastewater. We do have a Central Avenue sewer line here as well. So we did an analysis. There was a tricky element in here where businesses had to be particularly evaluated. Because, for example, the doctor's clinic is a certain number of units based on sink diameters. The pancake house across the way was calculated based on number of seats, which was kind of a moving target as we worked with the builder over there. So every business has a different analysis metric to determine the quantity of ERUs required, from number of seats to number of employees working in an 8-hour shift to the size and number of drains. So we did a comprehensive analysis of all the current active businesses in the corridor. We counted the number of built homes. We looked at the 2 multifamily homes in particular. Per recommendations from the town engineer and the public works director, we primarily looked at properties that were immediately adjacent to the sewer line, which is between Central Avenue and Holly. So we did not look on the north side of Central in our initial endeavor. But basically, the long and the short of it is, after the current entities that are already served, Howey Market, Clark Clinic, town facilities, looking at commercial, multifamily, and residential, not counting the unbuilt parcels, we're looking at about 27 ERUs out of the 47 remaining ERUs available. If the council were to, we'll say, mandate the hooking up of all built commercial, residential, multifamily entities along that corridor between Central and Holly. I will say a note on this idea of mandating. There is a law that says anyone within 300 feet of a sewer line must hook up to a sewer line. I will also say there was a grant from DEP for this $500,000 project of putting a sewer line in under the previous mayor. That presumed that there was going to be actual conversion of people off of septic onto sewer.
Did it not require that there be that conversion?
I mean, I would have to look at the wording of the contract, but let's put it this way. DEP certainly intended that. I don't know the strength of the wording that they put into there. But I would hate for there to be a clawback of that $500,000 because we only hooked up the municipal block, Clark Clinic, and soon to be Howey Market out of all the possibilities. But it was done on a voluntary basis under the previous administration, in my opinion, because the previous administration was the legislative and the executive head at that time. And it's a political question. But again, we are also constrained as well by the CDD regulations that say first come, first serve. And by those 2 points that I just mentioned, all those people should be in that line of first come, first serve.
If we don't fill those final 47 ERUs, would we potentially be in breach of contract with the CDD?
I would say with the CDD, they're saying first come, first serve. I mean, in my conversations with them, they just want us to either pay for them ourselves, so we're reserving it, get other people to reserve it, so it's reserved, or put it back out there so that some other developer could use it for their development project.
Yeah, such as the
Whispering
guy
Heights, for example.
at Whispering Heights.
Correct. Or
And
Thompson
he's got
Grove.
156.
He needs 156 total, but again, there's a possibility for him to find what he needs somewhere else and then come back to us and say, hey, I need those 47 units. First come, first serve. So the town council really needs to give staff direction in terms of establishing a mandate if we are going to hook people up. And from a staff perspective, I would say there really should be a prioritization on commercial foremost, that there's a lot more benefit to hooking up commercial to sewer. You can't have a restaurant without sewer, for example.
Yeah. Could the state require us to pay back the grant because we have not met the terms of the contract with them?
They certainly would have that option. I mean, Heather wants to say something on that.
I would like to take a look at all of it, and when you said the 300 feet, the statute says 50 feet, and it also requires, the statute requires 50 feet, the last I looked at it.
Okay.
But there could be something in the code, and I don't remember, I know we had talked about that,
Statute requires what?
50 feet. But the sewer has to be readily available, meaning that it,
Right.
in order to.
If we don't have capacity, then. we
Correct.
have-
Well, it's got to be there for someone to hook up to it too. I mean, you have to have the lines in. So what I'd like to
The
do.
line is in along the alleyway, correct?
Right, so 50 feet does apply to everyone on that list,
good.
but thank you for that.
But I was thinking what
clarification.
we probably should do though is look at, because I have no idea what's in the grant, the language in there or what's in those agreements. So maybe we should look at that, put a timeline together, what the statutes require, and also what's in your code. I can't remember if there was specific language in your code.
Are
of
you
ordinance.
sure it's 50 feet? The last time I read it, which was a long, long time ago, it was 300 feet.
I'd say 50 feet doesn't seem like a whole.
That's not a
It's-
full lot.
Yeah.
I'm looking at section 381.0065. It says the sewer must be within 50 feet of the property line, and that is for, it depends though, because it says for larger subdivision and industrial areas, the sewer must be within 1/4 mile. For industrial repairs, within 500 feet. I mean, so there's different standards in
There's
there.
different.
Correct. And so I think we should have all of that information.
So, and
Before
that's,
you-
and that's a good point. I will say everyone on the alley is immediately adjacent, so it's effectively 0 feet from the sewer line. If council wanted to look at pushing the sewer to the north side of Central, this other side of Central, of course, the town would have to work on expanding the line to get to that point, but then people would be within whatever distance of that line as well. So we are really, from a staff perspective, we're looking for guidance from the council and the political will to actually make this happen. It was done on a voluntary basis before, and it frankly didn't go
Yeah.
very far.
Prior mayor made a determination to make it voluntary when the intention, when the mayor before that one applied for the grant, is that it was going to be mandatory. The one mayor wanted it to be mandatory. The next mayor wanted it to be voluntary. And we're left with the results of that right now.
Well, whichever way we look at it, you're talking about in excess of $250,000 for those. Even if you make it mandatory, you've only got like
You're talking about the fee, the CIA
CIAC
fees.
well, that's what they're asking us to pay, right?
Well, that would cover the capacity. I mean, there would be additional costs beyond that.
No RAM fees.
Well, that is correct, but I was actually thinking also of the, you'd have a decommissioning of a septic tank and a tap-in fee as well if you were to implement the connecting. But you would primarily have the SEAC fee as an immediate cost.
Which is $250,000 and change. So, and even if we went down that line, you say that we've got only at this moment in time 27 that we could mandate to hook up.
If we are looking just at the alleyway, so immediately adjacent
on either side of it.
On either side of the alleyway, so everyone effectively between Central and Holly, from Lakeshore down to and including the post office.
Even beyond that, it would go almost all the way to where Public Works has their water plant.
So, but you're looking at approximately 27 ERUs for just what is built, residential, multifamily, and commercial that's immediately on that alley.
It does not include vacant lots then.
That does not include vacant lots. That does include the post office and the warehouse that's over there in that calculation.
So let's round it up to 30. That's 150,000.
Morgan, did you have a comment? Something about force mains? And we'll have public comment, but I'll answer Mrs. Manning's comment, which I right. And I was honestly very surprised when we did the analysis, because a restaurant takes a ton. A doctor's office takes a fair amount, but it was still less than a third of what the restaurant took. In looking at all the other businesses, and again, hairdresser, it's by number of chairs in, hairdressing chairs, office space, it's by number of employees in an 8-hour shift, and it's fractions of an ERU for each. So none of the other businesses, to my surprise, went over 1 ERU, except for the doctor's office and the restaurant. So I was surprised by that as well. Some businesses will trip it. If it was a much bigger office building, it would trip it. but none of the existing, half a dozen
The
businesses.
building at the corner up there would be several ER. Don't they have like 8 apartments in that building?
That's a really good question. Not to get too far in the weeds, but
But you still got to get them to pay for it. I mean, if there's 8 of them, that's 40 grand
Well,
and
but
some.
in that particular case, that building was built as a apartments up top, shops down below in the mid late 20s. So that's how far back that goes. It was later remodeled downstairs to change from shops to a few more apartments. It is on one water meter, and we did dig into that, and it seems like that's appropriate. It was never reviewed for a change of use or change of occupancy because that was set up that way in the 1920s. So it would be a bit of a question on whether that would also require multiple ERUs in that case.
Okay. Could we require, and the key is the number of feet, the entire TC-C zoning district, which is the commercial district that basically includes both sides of Central, and it includes a little piece of that's on Holly in it too, which is essentially our commercial downtown area. That plus the PUB, which includes the post office and
Water plant.
the water plant and other governmental type of zoning. Could we, if we included all of that, would we come very close to hitting the 47 mark?
So you have and would you still include the residential that we had in there too, or are we not counting the residential?
Yeah, and any residential that's immediately adjacent to the
Okay.
alleyway.
So all town center commercial, all pub, all residential adjoining the alley, let's say. So there's an engineering question on serving the north side of Central. But for the built parcels, you're basically adding the gas station, the apartment building with businesses downstairs at the end of the block. You're adding the water treatment plant.
I would just say,
the
John,
houses.
what I wanted to bring up to that matter is we want to keep in mind that when we're looking at who we would say is required, some of that area you're talking about may not be adjacent to a gravity main. And if they're not adjacent to a gravity main, when hooking to the sewer main, if it's a force main, then there would be additional cost, even if they have a septic now, because they'd have to put in a grinder pump station.
Okay. But there's a possibility.
Now, the statute, does it distinguish between a force main and a gravity main
I don't know. The statute does require you to provide
as far as the
a
requirement?
year notice, 365 days of notice. And unless there's a failing septic system, it says it's substantially less. So I don't know if I don't see the difference between the gravity and the force main. It just says readily available.
So, but to your numbers question, I think if you added in the apartment building with the businesses, the gas station, the water treatment plant, and half a dozen more homes, I think you'd still be at or under the 47. I think you have some leeway to include all of that, though.
What do you do with the enforcement of that? It's fine to say, okay, you've got to hook up.
Well,
But it's a lot of money for a lot of people,
It is.
residential and also the businesses. I'm just looking at Tina. She's got 6 down there. That's 30,000 plus for her.
Plus, you've already told them they didn't have to.
Well, I don't think we told them anything.
I think they
Wait a
asked, and the answer was
They weren't,
good.
but
But that being said, again, was to do a fund.
any solution that we do that would have to involve providing them a funding mechanism in addition to doing it. In other words,
over
maybe
years.
a 5-year loan where they pay interest to the city. You could do it with a special assessment district or some other mechanism and bill them on a monthly or quarterly or annual basis so that, and it could cover not only the cost of the capacity fee to which goes to the CDD, but also the cost of abandoning the septic tanks, the tap-in fee, the fees that Morgan mentioned for grinder pumps where required. All of those things could be included, but unless we provide a funding mechanism, we'll be lynched, basically.
Well, we've got to have a funding mechanism just for ourselves because we don't have $250,000 in wastewater to purchase those ERUs in the first place. We also don't have, to my knowledge, a wastewater impact fee unless.
Well, where do we stand on that?
I was hoping to have some dates for a workshop, and I know we have some traveling coming up. But I'll be reaching out to you when they give me the dates that they're available to hold a workshop.
They've been working on it for more than 6 months.
Yeah, and this was told to them at the time, or should have been told to them, because it was certainly the council wanted this to become a quick thing. I don't understand why they're taking so long to do it. And it's really irritating because so much of our decision making is also based on the information that we haven't got from them. But I think in this particular instance, both Heather needs to look at the contract, and I think there's way more involved in this than we have even a chance of looking at this tonight. I think it's probably going to need to have a workshop on it initially before we can even decide. Now, I understand they want us to make up our minds, or, there is a phrase, but I won't use it because it's rude. But at the end of the day, we can't make those decisions until we've got all of the facts.
And I realize we're kind of looping this down and we can work on scheduling a workshop later, but I just want to point out, we had 2 scenarios in particular on Central related to our lack of control over our own destiny. And one was that the Howey Market wanted to hook up. There was some difficulty locating the septic tank. And by the time that difficulty was resolved, we were at an impasse with the CDD at that moment, and they did not say that there was available capacity. And that actually stymied the whole project of getting the Howey Market hooked up until a whole separate subsequent agreement for 1,600 units.
Which took us 3 years to negotiate.
And I see, Mrs. Manning is here, and she wanted, basically less than 2 ERUs, I think, if I remember correctly. We couldn't even milk that out of the CDD at the time. We were not in a position of control. In the middle of our negotiation, before the middle point, I guess I could say, of our negotiations, on a different note, we were approached by the Sunoco across the way, the gas station. I think if I remember correctly, their drain failed. Was it the drain field or the septic tank? I can't remember, maybe both, but one of them was failing. One or the other. They knocked on our door and said, "Hey, our septic tank or our drain field is failing. We really want to hook up to sewer. We heard about the sewer thing." And we said, "Yeah, that would be a great idea. And we're great that you're excited. And we would love to be able to hook you up." But we were still months and months away from negotiating, finalizing that CDD agreement. So now, of course, they've put in a new drain field, I'm going to say, which again is a missed opportunity because, right. So, but again, it's one of those things where you can't, since we're not in control of our destiny, we really can't wait until every individual person's ready and willing to sign up. We're in an awkward position. We can't help people when they want to be helped. We have a little capacity available now. It's not going to be available forever, and we need to consider that. But another workshop would be possibly appropriate.
Make a motion
Or-
that we table this to for Heather to come back with the information on the statute and also the contract, and that we have a workshop on this.
And
Well, we
include
can
the
have-
costs as much as we can in there, please.
And I think we also need, keeping in mind that we've only got about a year and a half left on the $3 million grant. We need to include in that workshop input from Woodward and Curran, who have they been specifically tasked to provide that to us with a day certain, so that we can bring all of these things together at one time?
Yeah, they told me that they were gonna have the next two task order proposals ready as of today, which I have not yet received from them. And that the two task order proposals are gonna be for the wastewater treatment plant acquisition, evaluation / support and preliminary design of the wastewater collection system expansion for Old Howie. So I was hoping for those today. I have not received them yet. But those will be forthcoming as well.
Could we schedule a workshop during the month of May
Sure. For just wastewater and, I mean, that's
for this whole
concept.
concept?
Well, we have to, because we have to deal with it. We just aren't able to deal with it tonight. So let's move on with the motion for tabling. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Okay, so that is that. Let's move through the department reports, which are all in the packet. Unless there's anything that the Public Works Director wishes to add, or the town manager.
Okay. Well, Morgan did want me to share that he did get a quote from Pride on doing a full restoration of the fire truck for 28,615. But the previous discussion still stands, which is that once the 501c3 is formed, there'll be a transfer. Council talked about transferring funds in the amount saved over the years of approximately 4,800 plus an additional $5,000. But we will continue to work with Peggy Busher Clark as much as she is willing to.
Can the 501c3 issue a work order to them?
We're gonna try to help as much as we can and make sure if there's a good deal, which honestly, this is a pretty darn good deal, honestly. So we certainly want to facilitate the 501c3 getting the best deal out there.
Right.
Is that the
outfit you were talking
This
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And they did exceptional work for the city I work for in Palm Beach County.
Okay, that's
at
a
that
good
time.
deal. So anyway, just thought I'd share that, even though that'll be borne by the 501c3. I will just do a reminder. Town's Founders Day is Saturday, May 9th, from 10 to 2, sorry, at Griffin Park. I'll be reaching out to everyone to talk about your vacation travels and scheduling upcoming workshops up to and including impact fees. And just one last note, just to share discussions that are starting to happen. J5 Equities owns the agricultural land way out in the southwest part of town. There really hasn't been any proposal.
To the west of Mission Rise.
To the west of Mission Rise, correct. There's some access questions there. Some developers have looked at it. I got a call recently from another developer. He wants to develop out there. He's asking about wastewater. That's not within our control. But he's come back with a counter proposal, which is, can we do distributed wastewater systems, something like that, to serve the need in the meantime? So again, that goes back to our upcoming wastewater discussions where council really can't control or manage Thompson Grove or this agricultural land out there or serving Old Howie, since we don't have control of the mechanism. So it just makes those conversations a little tricky, but those conversations are ongoing and we have new people coming, knocking on the door every day.
Have
with
we heard
proposals.
anything more about Thompson Grove?
Nothing. No, since that last DRC meeting, we haven't heard a single peep from them. Mr. Brock, nothing. Yeah, nothing from them. So they still had to come back to DRC with a new proposal anyway, was the last thing that the town planner told them. So proposal number 7, anyway. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Keats?
Yeah, I just wanted to remind the council that we have a lakeshore cleanup scheduled for April the 25th from 8 a.m. to 11. There will be free hot dogs, drinks, and chips afterwards. So hope to see everybody there. Tell all your friends.
Yep. Do we still need boats? Kayaks?
Yeah, kayak, boat, anything.
Yes, bring yours.
I don't, yeah.
Tim, you're up.
Yeah, I just have two things. One is, I want to reiterate, what Counselor Miles said. It's very disturbing to me if figures that we are presented here are not accurate. I think that's a real concern and we have to be honest here. So that's number one. Number two is, I'm assuming that when the current contract runs out, since it's now not going to continue for next year, that the discussion what to do with those two SR officers will be put on the agenda.
So just to
They're,
could I
they're,
clarify that?
they're at the schools until the end of June.
Correct.
That's when it changes over. But yeah, we will have to have those discussions. Now,
That's all I
in
have.
fairness, of course, once we get into July, we're getting into the delights of budget season, and that's going to be a part of it. But from the time that they finish at the school, they will become full-time officers inside of the town until well, the end of September, and then ongoing from there. Obviously,
Yeah, we've funded them in the current year
Right.
budget to the
Right.
end
And
of
we,
the
we have
fiscal year.
one summer camp officer as well, but yeah, the timing of the end of the contract and the end of their time in the school tees up very nicely
It works
with
out a little
the
better.
budget discussion. So I don't know that we need it as a separate item per se. I think it'll mesh right into the FY27 budget.
what else you got, Tim?
That's it.
Okay,
The chief has left.
Councillor Arnold,
No questions or comments.
Councillor Miles,
I had a question, but it was for the chief and he's gone.
Councillor Lanneman.
I just have one comment. I will.
I just have one comment. I want to say that I believe that the town of Howey-in-the-Hills presented a awesome League of Cities luncheon on Friday. It was one of the best ones, not because I'm council of Howey and I want to give and I want to give kudos to the mayor and to staff and everyone that was involved. It was an absolutely awesome time. I think that we presented well and in excellence and unity for this town, and I really enjoyed it. And I want to say that out of all of the League of City luncheons I've gone to, we were the only ones that served dessert.
Well, some of them.
Not that we need it. What dessert where?
Yeah, like a.
Oh, they had pie, cake.
Yeah.
Where?
Well,
Which
they-
So when they
Pretty cake.
Hey, Dad, we're thinking of you for your diet. Yeah.
I think it was.
Actually, they didn't ask our table for dessert.
No, I think,
Campus Day,
yeah,
It's over in the corner.
there were some things with the presiding officer that I didn't care for when the captain or the whatever it was, the major was still talking, and then he's saying, "Go get your lunch." That was
Yeah,
out
that
of order.
was, that was impolite.
And he didn't mention about the dessert. The fact that the sheriff did not make it, let's just call it that, I think was really disappointing, because the one thing that we did was to liaise with Mission Inn, who I thought did a fabulous job for us, and the sheriff in order that we did that. We had 60 people in round numbers there, which if you think Umatilla had 30 and they had 45 in Claremont the last time, we had 7 no-shows of people who paid and just simply didn't turn up, including, which is disappointing, Representative Yurkowski and also Amanda Geltz, because both of them had confirmed and paid, and they didn't turn up. And these were people that were I'd send out personal invitations to because I felt that it was appropriate and also that we wanted to put on the best show. But anyway, it was what it was. It was.
Think we did. And
I
those
do.
that needed to be there, that were there, they were there, and if things came up. But I just wanted to comment that it was a really nice
Yeah.
luncheon, and it was nice that all council showed up as well as staff.
Yeah, we were
Really
well represented there.
And
The
the
thing that disappointed me besides that was a lot of the bigger cities in the county did not show up. Like I didn't see a rep from Leesburg or Claremont.
They
Yeah.
don't often.
no Claremont, the mayor.
Was Claremont
Yeah.
there?
mayor
Oh, yeah. Tim Murray was there.
But it,
And his
but,
wife.
but the thing is that I had, and you're right. Some of them, like there was no representation from Mascot. Now, normally the mayor from Groveland does not come. I send personal invitations out to all of the mayors, all of the city managers, and also to some other people as well. We ended up with somebody from Montverde at the last minute as a result of that, because I made a phone call to him and said, somebody needs to come. And, Jim, Paul, he deals with this every month. He said it's like herding cats, trying to get people to come.
Yeah.
But anyway, it is what it is.
That was the first
Yeah.
meeting I've seen that Carol from Montverde.
I-
And she was at the annual convention, but I've never seen her.
Well, the
at
thing
a-
is that both the previous ones, Jim Lay and also Alan Hartle, both got voted off of council or didn't rerun. I was hoping to get Mayor Winecoop to come, but he said she's the representative, so she at least did come. Mission Inn were exceptionally happy with the way that it'll want. They want to do it again next year. And there's also some other things that they've got going on there, which they want to partner with the town on. And I think that we should try and foster those
Sport
relationships.
tournaments and things of that nature.
Right. The only other thing that I have got before we adjourn is we've talked a lot about newsletters going out to people and what have you. And so I had put pen to paper on a kind of an update of the town where we are financially, growth wise, and a variety of number of other things. I sent it to Sean last week, and I'm meeting with him tomorrow to kind of finalize that, because we want that to go out into the water bill, and the cutoff for that is the 15th, which is on Wednesday. So we're going to finalize that. The reason I just wanted you to know, because obviously you will get it on your water bill, and I don't like you guys not to know what's going on and finding out when the rest of the people find out
Just
as
to be
well.
the nature of this, it's a state of the town that talks about accomplishments in roughly the last 2 years. So while this county.
Could you email it to us prior to the water bills going out?
Absolutely.
No, we had intended to do that. And what we try to do is to make it as positive as possible. Because I believe that, a lot of people get their information from social media, and usually it's not positive. And I think that the job that we do collectively is very difficult. We don't always agree, but at the end of the day, we have to just keep moving on. And every 2 weeks, we come back and we deal with a whole number of other problems, and people don't typically see that. So part of this is to put that across. May put some people off running for election when it comes up in August, but at the end of the day, it is a difficult job, and we have to juggle a lot of balls in the air all the time. And but we also accomplished, I believe, quite a lot in the 18 months that I've been the mayor, and so we wanted to put that out there as a positive thing. So we will email that to you once it's finalized.
Can I give a mulligan of a question for the town manager?
Sure. Be quick.
Has anything transpired on the shopping area that includes the 7-Eleven since that?
We haven't received anything. I haven't seen any new traffic plans or any.
They sent us the framework.
We can't hear.
They sent us the proposed framework for the 7-Eleven. And that's been sent out to the town attorney, or not the town attorney, the town planner and the town engineer for their comments, and I have not gotten those back from them.
And related to that, the shopping center with the Publix in it.
Where
does that stand?
That's gone to the building official. He's reviewing that right now. They were reviewing the permitting fees that was end of last week. They were nitpicking the permitting fees.
When do we expect that to start going under construction?
I believe they said they were hoping to start going vertical in May or June of
next year.
27.
I've noticed also that the development off of 19 Watermark
Yep.
is started clearing their land.
They've taken out all the dead citrus and put it into piles. So yes.
Burning.
Have they started burning? I didn't
said
notice.
there will be some.
Oh, there will be burning. Yes. So, but yes, they are moving dirt as well. So.
Okay, anything else for the good of the order?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned at 9:06 PM.
How do you guys? About the new.
Oh,
Text.
you been to Montford before?
Skyscraper?
Well,
Downtown. You go past where you turn. I don't know if that's gonna. The new buildings.
yeah, he's gonna come with us tomorrow.
You go past where you turn.